listening to The Front Porch Show. Some shows are niche shows, talking about specific topics. Others, shows about nothing. This show is the show about everything. On The Front Porch Show, we'll talk about current events, some news, a little bit of politics, along with a whole lot of life. Welcome to Our Front Porch. 1-402-799-1811. That is the message line number. We've got Ozzy with us, and we've got just Jeff.
What?
That's right. They are here.
That's crazy.
I don't believe you.
Yeah, well,
you don't have to. I mean, I do have a high propensity for lying. No, I don't.
Do you?
Falsehood.
I mean,
you really do, though.
Remember the Front Porch Show, where the facts are made up and the narrative is all that matters.
No, that's CNN.
Was that our tagline?
Yeah, the facts are made up and the narrative is all that matters.
Oh, that's new.
You didn't know that?
As of today.
I mean, it's really, everything is based on our feelings and what we think. Anyway. Instead of what actually happens.
Oh, no.
No.
If that was true, we'd be popular.
Ooh.
That's a really good point, Jeff. That's a really good point. I'd like to take a moment to actually welcome new listeners in today. I've started messing around with Twitter quite aggressively the last couple of days after finding out that Facebook is going to ban me.
You think that's going to gain us?
Oh no, actually,
let's let him figure that out. Because I don't think he's.
I've got quite a few new followers now, and I imagine some of them are listening. So
they're all Russian.
Welcome.
All Russian bots.
Well,
yeah, because how well did that go? What was it yesterday? When you were like, guys, look at this.
There's a telltale sign.
Someone was like, that's fake, right?
That was horrible. That was absolutely horrible.
Oh boy.
So something jumped up on my Jeff's
What?
You're
staticky.
You're staticky.
It's going.
Just don't move. So
Nothing on my end at all.
It's perfect.
So yesterday on the feed, yesterday on my Twitter feed, I see something pop up from Melissa Milano, and it was something about Biden, and I'm not going to repeat it. And I was like, no way she just said this.
And there wasn't any way
she just said that, because it was a spoof account.
Wasn't the account name like Alyssa Milano's face or something like that?
Something like that.
Did you not
so
look
obvious.
at the actual Twitter handle? Oh,
but it had her little logo though.
Mathis is
he doesn't know what a Twitter handle is.
Twitter. I'm a boomer on Twitter.
Basically a boomer.
I'm basically Karen or Jeff on Twitter.
You are the one. It's like boomers on Twitter.
I don't do Twitter.
Are very susceptible to fake accounts, just like they are susceptible to COVID.
It was
in real life.
It was so dumb. I was very frustrated.
It was a nice try.
Now, the next thing I need to figure out to do, how do I get one of those cool little blue check marks?
You have to prove that you're yourself.
I think you have to change your stance on a few of the issues you've been hotly debating on Twitter to get one of those little blue check marks.
Well,
Let's see what the requirements are.
I don't know if that's going to happen, because I can't do that.
Do it for the check mark.
I cannot compromise my principles, Jeff.
Do it for a digital check mark.
Do it for a check mark.
Liberal site.
So it was funny because I was a little nervous that I was shadow banned. So I did some digging into that, and I found out that I'm not.
I had put a lot of money into trying to make that happen, so I'm a little disappointed.
Why would you do that?
Not.
Why would you do that?
I gotta have a day job, man.
Wow. Well, yeah. Speaking of day jobs, I mean, last week, how are those rods of God? You were up there polishing them last week.
Let's just say I had to make a few. I thought I was going to be on our live show, and then I got called in to make a few passes over your house to keep you under control.
Yeah,
but everything is.
It was probably a good call after the first segment last week.
Tungsten is locked and loaded.
Now,
you have to polish tungsten?
Do you polish it? Is it shiny?
I don't think you polish tungsten, do you? Like, I mean, you can.
I can't reveal the methods used to increase its velocity.
Interesting.
During its free fall.
Well, what can you do? According to Woodward, though, we have according to the Woodward interview that Trump gave him, we have some super secret nuclear weapons, though, now. Do you know anything about those, Jeff?
I cannot confirm nor deny.
It's funny because that's what the military said, too.
I cannot confirm or deny.
Do we honestly expect them to answer?
I cannot.
Is that really a realistic expectation? Is that people are like, hey, you know what? Could you tell us if we have new nuclear bombs that nobody knows about? And honestly, you're going to get a straight answer from them? Come on.
Let's see. Let me check my inventory. Yeah, we have 12.
So Trump supposedly in the interview said, yeah, we've got nuclear weapons that Russia and China don't have any idea about. And now they do. Now they do. Well done on operational security, Woodward.
Now,
I understand journalism,
is this the same? Is this the same interview where he supposedly told that he thought that coronavirus was dangerous, but he hid it for political reasons or whatever?
Same one.
I haven't listened to it. Is it? Did he clearly say that, or is it being twisted like the inject bleach?
What?
You know what? I did inject bleach and it worked.
No.
I can tell.
Never mind.
We are not doctors. We are not advocating a medical cure for anything here.
I was just judging by the tone of his skin that he probably has done that.
He does have a Michael Jackson glow about him.
If I only had his money.
Well, never mind. I'm leaving it. I'm just going to leave it there.
Yeah. We'll talk about that in a later segment. Love the new movie.
Oh no. So
girls.
Oh wow, that's terrible. That's terrible. I have. Wow. So thank you, Jeff.
We're just helping you out. We're gonna try and get kicked off of YouTube.
You're gonna get us kicked off of YouTube and Twitter. Guys, this week
we have a Front Porch Show on Twitter account?
We do.
Do we ever use it?
I post new shows to it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I created a Twitter account for myself for the show, and I haven't logged into it.
Do we have a Twitter for the show? What is the Twitter for the show?
I have not tweeted since I think maybe 2011 or 12.
Nice.
So the Twitter for the show is @frontporch_show.
This is probably the first time anybody's heard that.
.org/Creed Thoughts _
No.
It's a Word document.
And so that is the Front Porch Show. That is completely unpolitical.
Is it?
No, it's not.
Is it?
Compared to my Twitter, it is. I mean,
compared to your Twitter, I can't even make a comparison.
No, there are no comparisons.
I was going to say the Trump 2020 campaign platform Twitter is less political, but
Aaron's Twitter handle should be trying to burn bridges.
No.
Yes.
No.
A bridge not far enough.
Yes.
That's probably accurate. Look, I believe that we are in an existential crisis in our country, and I am willing to take it on heads on. And I'm shameless about it. This is
140 characters. Actually, that's old.
240 characters or less. 280.
Oh, didn't they double it?
Yeah, 280. That's right. Which is too long. I don't like that. Guys,
it's not a tweet. It's a
paragraph.
I don't even know now.
It's a bird song.
It's not
a tweet. It's not a tweet. It's an entire bird song.
Yes.
That's right. Guys, this week we do commemorate 19 years since the 9/11 attacks, where 2,753 people died in the attacks on New York, and then more perished in the field in Pennsylvania, where the heroes took down the airplane. Have you guys ever been to Ground Zero?
Yes.
That is one of the most ominous places I think I've ever been.
Yeah, I've never actually gone
the word you're going for?
I've never toured it, but I've been in New York and seen it.
Gotcha. Yeah, ominous. I do call it ominous.
See, I don't know if I would give it ominous. That doesn't sound right to me.
Yeah,
well, I was just there last summer. I was there early.
So ominous, giving the impression that something bad. See, this is where Aaron explains. Giving the impression that something bad or unpleasant is going to happen, threatening or inauspicious.
So
not
ominous. I mean,
sobering.
Like the subway, sobering, yes. Ominous.
You know what, Jeff?
The subway ride to get there might be ominous. Like,
you know what, Jeff?
Walk down the stairs into the subway, you get the feeling something bad's about to happen. Okay, but when you're out there, when you're out there,
I'm sorry, New York. He's not wrong.
With the fountains flowing, and you're in downtown New York, and everyone's still being pretty quiet. Like ominous is the right word.
Okay.
Sobering.
You're not exactly like you're in South Manhattan. It's not downtown. It's not like Broad Street or anything. It's not Times Square.
Foreboding.
It's the financial district.
Yeah, it's not that.
I don't know. It doesn't matter what my descriptor is, but
you know what, Jeff? Words have meaning.
Yeah, they do.
You need to.
That's why it's not correct. That's why it's not ominous.
Well, thank you.
Sobering.
Thank you, gentlemen, for enforcing accuracy with language.
But you are correct. You are correct. It is very sobering, and it's you're standing here staring at these two giant holes in the ground that are now fountains.
That's it.
And you're just trying to imagine the buildings there.
I think the most crazy part for me was, I'm not that tall, 6 foot. But as you're looking down into these holes,
he's adding a couple inches, ladies. Just so you know.
No, I'm not.
He's not 6 foot tall.
What are you talking about? I'm like
just saying
5'12", 6 foot. Andrew Pete, that one's for you. So, like as you're looking down into these holes, it's kind of layered down to where it goes another layer deeper.
Yeah,
and you can't see the bottom of that hole. The next hole down.
You can.
Can you? Oh, well, apparently you have to be tall.
I honestly have not gotten this close to
I don't know. It was very, like, not being able to see the bottom of that hole just emotionally was like, wow. Jeff, I think you're remembering it wrong. There's two squares.
Heaven forbid. Yes, it's not like we don't have Google.
I'm just trying to remember it. I don't remember it never struck me that I could not see the bottom of the fountain.
Yeah, so you like maybe I'm totally off. But I don't remember being able to see the bottom of the hole. The bottom of the second, going down in there. And like all the pictures I'm looking at now, you cannot see the bottom.
Okay. No, I see what you're okay.
And that right there from an artistic standpoint
that's so far out in the middle where the water drains down.
Yeah.
I wasn't even looking into it.
Oh yeah.
In fact, I can't see the bottom of it because for all we know, it could be 4 foot deep. You're just not at an angle.
So I have no idea what the creator was trying to get accomplished by that, but it was like the sense of finality and something disappearing, and it sucked. Like my entire emotions just tanked.
Way deeper than that with me.
It was incredibly moving, and my hat is off to the artist who designed it.
I have to say, that one is good. Also the teardrop that Russia gave us. Have you seen that?
Yes. Yeah. Wow.
Isn't that hanging in the?
No, that is
over
park
in New Jersey. Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah. That. For all the bad things we have to say about Russia, and all the bad things they have to say about us, I mean, there at least is a small dose of humanity there that was shown.
Yeah.
Through that what do you call it? Through that
gesture.
Monument and gesture, yeah.
No, you're right though. It's a very sobering location. Obviously, again, in some ways it's a very simple design for a memorial, as it's literally the in-ground footprints of the two buildings. And yet, obviously, in that simplicity, I think it says a lot.
Yeah. I am not a very emotional guy. Like, I found that, obviously, as I've grown older, I've become more emotional. But we went and visited it back in 2004, I believe. And I cried. I mean, I don't cry. And this was that moving for me. Where were you guys when it happened? I know, Jeff, I know we've talked about it with you.
8th grade, I believe it was 8th grade gym class.
Yeah, that's. I remember you mentioning that. I think I was en route back from a piano lesson.
Oh, really? You had early morning piano lesson?
Yeah, I had like a 8 o'clock piano lesson or something.
Yeah, we had gym class like first hour of the day.
I was headed back from town, and I remember coming in the door, and someone walked in right behind me and was like, "Oh, a plane hit the World Trade Center," and I thought, "Oh yeah, that's happened before." You know, I was a little nerd. I'd read the encyclopedias, and back in the 80s, Cessna had hit.
Right.
You know, it was nothing. You know, and I kind of scoffed it off, and a second person came in and was like, "An airliner hit," and we were like, "Wait, what?" And we were doing that home sat stuff out of Bob Jones satellite school and stuff.
I forgot you're a homeschool.
Yeah, well, it was private school. We were one of those private schools.
Yeah, sure.
So one of the TVs somehow got the news. Like got one of the TVs worked to get on
the TV's not
to get over the air. Well, we didn't have antennas, and it worked without an antenna. It got over the air without antenna.
I bet the TV had a weird little extendable antenna on the back of it, like some of the old sets.
Nope. It just worked. It was some weird TV. It was probably FCC, not compliant with the FCC. But anyways, it worked. It picked up the news, and we were able to watch it, and we watched for hours. I mean,
I do recall the TVs being brought into some of the rooms on carts for the rest of the day.
I mean, it was
at school. Obviously being in the Midwest and being removed from there, it's kind of surreal because like school went on.
Yeah. It
was obviously basically the topic. I don't remember how much schooling actually got done. We got called down to like the cafeteria / conference room, not conference room, but what do you want to call it? Auditorium, atrium, whatever. We got called down the room where you eat and had big meetings.
Cafeteria.
And they kind of let us know what was going on, but school still went on for the rest of the day.
Yeah.
A couple of the TVs got brought into different rooms and got updates throughout the day. I don't recall people being picked up from school. I mean, I recall coming home from school like I normally did and going over to my friend's house, which was just same neighborhood, rode my bike over to his house next block over, and watching some more of it on TV, so from that aspect, I guess just being in the Midwest, I think a lot of other people weren't doing it. I mean, some people were like in their basements, in their bunkers.
I mean, we were 200 miles away, 250 miles away.
So people that were closer were obviously probably reacting a little differently, but it was definitely an interesting day. As we look at it now and we talk about it, and obviously we've got kids fighting in the Middle East that weren't even born when it happened.
Yeah.
Which is another issue, but I guess maybe this is how you're starting to feel like as you were kids and grandkids and you hear your grandparents talk about VJ Day or Pearl Harbor or something like that, or VE Day. Like, I wonder if I guess it'd be great grandparents probably talking about Pearl Harbor, but grandparents as kids remembering VE and VJ Day. And like when it actually happened, like I wonder if that's kind of what the kids already now. Like, I mean, kids, this is straight up. Like, I got thinking about this today. You said 19 years.
Yeah.
Next year will be 2 decades.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Like it's straight up a historical event.
Right.
It's that's
crazy.
That brings up the question. So Ozzy, we didn't get to where were you? Where were you when that happened?
I was at home because we were homeschooled. And,
you were one of those.
I gotta get new friends.
I wasn't homeschooled. It was more of a hybrid thing, Jeff.
No, I was actually.
It was a homeschool co-op. So your parents couldn't deal with you, so they dumped you off on somebody else's mom to teach you.
to teach you on a television.
Yeah, teach you on a television.
That's right. That's right.
So anyway, yeah, I was at home working on schoolwork. My sister was upstairs doing video classes because we used Abeka. And they had like video cassette classes and stuff.
Yeah.
And so she was watching one of those and she got done with it or whatever. And I guess she ejected the tape or something like that. And the news, she was on a news station. And they had said,
you'd have been on Channel 3. Come on, we all know that.
No,
Channel 3 to watch the VHS.
Yeah. No, you don't. You don't.
Oh, maybe was it a TV VHS combo?
Yes, not if it's the combo. Yeah, not if it's the combo.
If it's a combo, it didn't have to do it. Correct.
Not if it's the combo. It was the combo. Yep. And so
of course we've got listeners listening who are like, "What's a VHS tape?
What's a VHS? Right, folks? These TVs were huge.
I had a buddy the other day who shows up.
Half-inch glass on them.
I have a buddy who shows up the other day with a cassette tape on his shirt.
Yes.
And it was like, yeah.
Yes. So not to throw you off, you're talking about how heavy duty the TVs were. And there's been one in my garage since we moved in that the people that lived here left here. So it's not a huge one. It was like a,
did you see?
It wasn't huge. Maybe like 24 inch.
All right.
It was a small one. So we put it out. We put it out for the trash finally just to get it out of there.
They wouldn't
I think it still worked. No, we're back in. My mother-in-law is driving my father-in-law's big truck, and she's backing it out of the driveway and forgets that the TV's there. So she like cuts across the corner of the yard and just like nails it. We hear this big crunch and dragging. We're like, what is that? We look down. It's a TV. So we dig it out of the wheel well and bring it out. The plastic back of this old box TV broke. Screen intact, not a mark on it, and it was hit with the Dodge Ram. So you want to know how tough those TVs were? There you go.
They cost an arm and a leg too, man.
Oh, yeah.
They were still expensive.
You look how cheap like 50-inch flat screen LCD 4K TVs are, and you're just like,
yeah, it's like what? You can pick one up for like $500.
My 10-inch black and white,
and it was like, it was like, man, this little TV that was like 32 inches. You spent like $1,500 on it.
It was a huge family purchase.
Oh my god!
Like people built massive entertainment centers that were like permanent addition to your home around them because that was
with a hole in the back and a cut in the sheetrock to fit that tube.
Yeah,
dude, huge. Did you?
Sorry, I didn't mean to throw you off.
Sorry. Anyway, did you see? I got one more thing. Did you see the meme where it was like the reason that rioters didn't like go after? It was basically comparing rioting in the 60s and looting to rioting now, and it's like, all these rioters and looters go and they grab all these TVs and stuff like that, and it shows like this picture of like this old like wooden TV set thing or whatever, and it's like because they weren't as easy to carry off. Like you had to be mad skilled and have like 5 people to carry one of those things off. Man, get those out of the store. Anyway,
the phones were attached by cords. The TVs were too heavy.
Right. It was like impossible.
I guess you could still steal tennis shoes, but I mean, what?
Yep. Anyway, so we were at home. My sister came down, said that an airplane crashed into a building, one of the big buildings in New York or something like that. And I remember my mother not believing her. She was like, "No, there's no way." Like, there's no way that it or whatever. And then like she was very adamant, and we went upstairs and we were watching, and that was like, it must have been right at, I don't know, when did the first plane hit? It was like maybe like 10 minutes after the first plane hit or something.
So were you watching
first plane hit at 8:46?
Yep.
So you were watching live when the second plane hit.
Yeah, we were too, and that was terrible. Like that was terrifying.
Live with when that hit, and then the Pentagon got hit.
9:02 was the second plane hit.
Yeah, and then the Pentagon got hit, I think, and then my mother made us shut it off, and while we went back to doing our schoolwork and everything else, because we're outside of Atlanta, about 20 miles outside of Atlanta, 30 miles outside of Atlanta. And I remember my mom was not like, she was very like, she didn't tell us, but she was very
decided
nervous.
You were going to get that spelling quiz done before Atlanta got hit.
Like they were seriously like worried that something was going to happen in Atlanta.
Well, that's the question.
Because
like, what else could have happened?
Right. And Atlanta is the place where it's like, okay, so you got hundreds of airplanes coming in and out of Atlanta per hour.
Yeah.
And the one thing I distinctly remember from that day is going outside and there were no airplanes in the air.
Yeah.
And that is so trippy because at any point in time, you can walk outside of my parents' home and you can see at least 4 commercial aircraft in the air.
Yeah.
From there. That's how close we are to the airport. And I mean, they're about, 40 minutes away from the airport, but reasonably close. But you can always see aircraft in the air, always. And there was nothing. Like, it was dead silent outside. It was so surreal. So that's where we were. So
that's so weird. Like, I mean, that brought up another thought that I had yesterday, that I was thinking about. We don't know how bad it could have been,
right?
And how many by putting the moratorium on flying, which from a freedom standpoint, I'm like, nah.
Wait. We do, right? There was no other hijacked aircraft.
There were no other hijacked aircraft, but how many others may have been, or the crew flaked out, the hijacking crew flaked out? Like, were there any?
So you're saying they landed in some place in Canada because they got put down. You're saying they landed somewhere and then just disappeared in the population.
I don't know. Like, I don't know.
I have not heard any evidence in the 19
I don't know.
sense.
But they did.
I don't know.
They did, because if you go to the Smithsonian, the Air and Space Museum, at least the last time we went, they have a little 9/11 thing or whatever, and they show, one of the things they showed is the timeline of, it's just the aircraft that are in the air.
Yeah.
And it's it goes really fast, but it's like the timeline from when the first plane hit to every single aircraft being out of the air, and it is incredibly fast.
I mean, it was
right.
within an hour and a half. Like, everything was down.
You think about fast. To be honest, possibly before the first one hit. I got to think through this, because I've gone through and I've watched. There's different YouTube videos of all the radar, all the ATC chatter that there was when they lost contact with each. I mean, they knew something was up. When the planes turned when the planes turned back.
So the biggest issue there,
the ATC people knew something was up. Like when the first one hit the building, they knew that was most likely a hijacked airplane. So the news media is still going like, what just happened? Was this an accident?
Right.
And like a lot of people on the ground didn't know it was an attack till the second one hit. So I think a lot of people standing there in New York thought it was an accident until the second plane hit.
So one of the things we have to think about is, before 9/11, hijackers
talk about the hijackers motive. Yeah.
Right. Hijackers would hijack an airplane, demand money.
Right.
We whatever country would pay them, get the people back.
Well,
they take the airplane. We'd find out who they were.
They would hijack the plane. They would hijack the plane, force it down at an airport of their choosing, usually in a country that they would think would probably be friendly to them, and they would want money or safe passage in that country, whatever. It was just an easy way to get a contained set of hostages to make demands.
Yeah. So
that's what it was. The airplane, they were not suicidal. The airplane was never intended to be used as a weapon. And then you either sent in SWAT teams to take the airplane down, or you negotiated, and it was what it was.
So this concept of actual like terrorism and suicide, killing everyone on board, was
completely new concept,
brand new concept,
which is why they had to completely transition. They're obviously they're, and that's why I think.
I mean, after the first plane hit, all of a sudden it's, oh man.
Initially, there was a lot of compliance was taught as far as like to crews and just in general, like,
which is amazing for the Pentagon flight.
Just do what you want to do.
The
Pennsylvania flight, yeah.
I don't know. I mean, it sounds like the hijackers didn't come up there and say, "Have your plane, do what you want me to do." It sounds like they just straight up killed the crews.
Yeah.
Because you've heard the audio. I know you've heard the audio from one of the flights. I forget which one it is, where the mic got hit while the cockpit was being attacked.
Yeah.
And you can hear the captain or the first officer screaming, and you can hear him in pain, and he's yelling in there. So obviously the terrorists just attacked, not with the intention of, here, I'm going to hold the crew at knife point, go where I want you to go.
No.
I need a pilot. They attacked with the intent of eliminating the flight crew and then locking everyone else out of the flight deck.
Right.
And with United 93, how they gained access to the flight deck, I don't know, but that's amazing that the people got it back. And
it wasn't.
My guess is they may never even have fully gained control of the cockpit. It was just a full-on fight all the way into the ground.
Yeah. Hey.
Because I feel like a generic person had, at 20,000 feet, they got set in the seat. They could have at least got it somewhat pointed upright and in the right direction, and maybe got some communication. I don't know.
Right.
But
Because why would most likely it was they were still fighting fighting over it
the whole time.
Right. Because why would you purposely just crash the plane into the ground?
Or the terrorists have been attacked enough times, whatever. They didn't think they were going to complete their mission, and they just. But either way, it was the people in the back fighting.
Regardless,
If you want to watch something, there was a series that came out. Oh, I think it was on Prime. I'm not 100% sure, but it was phone calls, messages from 9/11. That is highly disturbing. It's not per se terrorizing.
No,
because the people aren't screaming in pain or anything like that.
You're just listening to a bunch of people's last phone calls.
So they interview the families, and then they play the message and things like that. And it's just, some people still have hope that they're going to get out of the buildings. This is for the buildings, not the planes. I'm talking about the buildings.
There's calls from the planes too.
Right. This is specifically the buildings that I'm talking. And they show you where they were on the building. They'll show you a picture of the building, and they'll point out exactly where this person was. If they were above the line or if they were below the line of impact, and whether or not it was even possible for them to make it out.
Yeah.
A lot of them, it wasn't even possible for them to get out because there was no way to get up to them.
Yeah, I mean,
for them to even get
those
down.
Planes smashed through. Anyone
because
above the collision was basically
it took out all of the elevators. It took out huge portions of just the building was just you have beams just blocking ways to get out, and then the stairwells were completely blocked. So, but they are very, it's a very heavy thing to listen to.
Oh yeah.
Very worth it. It gives you a very good sense of living in the moment, and loving your family.
Gives you perspective and helps you remember. I mean, most of these kids protesting today didn't live through that. They've never seen unity in our country.
And at a time where, it was popular to hate on President Bush, right? Not to the level of today.
Well, no. But Bush was called a Nazi in 2006. So
he was, but not to the every minute, every second of every mainstream news source ever on the face of the earth. It was popular to hate on him, but it was a lot different.
It was different.
And there was a lot of unity because everybody was pissed off.
Oh yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
Now,
the entire country was ready to go to war.
That unity also led to some bad things because it was, sure, government, do whatever you want in response to this. Take a bunch of our freedoms, create the TSA.
Right.
Go to war in whatever Middle East country you want to go to, even if it's not related.
Right.
There was obviously some negatives to that unity.
Right.
But there was obviously positives to that unity as well. Someone shared a video of the first Cubs home game after this, and Sammy Sosa, he always led the charge by running all the way out to the right field fence, right? When they came out of the dugout. Well, he ran all the way out there and back with an American flag, little American flag in his hand. And then later in the game, he hits a home run. And when it goes out the right field side, as he gets to first base, the first base coach hands him the small American flag, and he runs the bases after the home run with the small American flag. And
you think baseball's not rigged, do you?
It is not.
Just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Maybe he had a buzzer in his shirt to let him know the fastball was coming, so he could hit the home run.
Right.
But the point, like the person who shared that, the sad thing is we're at the point where the person who shared that, remembering 9/11, also shared it with the comment of what would happen to him today. Like, this display would not happen today.
No.
And the segment's going on super long. We need to move on. We don't want the whole show to be not a drag, but a heavy remembrance of these things. One other thing to not get lost in the September 11th stuff is the September 11th Benghazi attacks too, on the anniversary of 9/11, in which Chris Stevens and the names are now escaping me, but the four other members of both the CIA and armed services were killed in the attacks on the ambassador's compound in Libya. So
that you're absolutely right.
That's also and that is another massive failing.
So
didn't need to happen.
So memories of 9/11. We'll be right back.
Thing was 10 foot tall. He had beautiful hair. He looked like he had 6 fingers on each hand. I come out here and rough talked him and run him off. And I said, get away from here. Get. And he went right back out that path again.
Guys, I don't know if you know this, but NFL started this week.
I take back my statement about you not being 6 foot tall. I forgot. That was the description of the first time I met Mathis in our college dorm.
Pretty much.
That thing was 6 foot tall, and he had beautiful hair.
And
then I yelled, "Get out of here!" And he went back right down the hallway. That's pretty much. That's pretty much what happened.
Thank you, Ozzy. And Jeff. Guys, NFL started this week, and college football started last weekend.
That I can get excited
not for the illustrious Big Ten.
Well, no. So first things first.
Harbaugh has a good record so far.
Has anybody noticed that this is the only great thing that has happened? Well, one of the great things that's happened that the coronavirus has produced is the fact that the SEC, and we finally get to see the games and the schedule that everyone's always wanted to see.
When the SEC actually has to play tough games.
Yeah, they're playing against each other.
They only play against each other all the time. That is going to take a toll on them, and it's going to be a lot.
Going to be fantastic. I'm excited.
I think that's going to be a great season. So I'm actually excited about that. I'm sad that the Big Ten and everybody else are kind of just, but
they may play.
What are you going to do
in January? And we all know what happens to spring leagues. We all know what happens to spring leagues.
We're thinking.
They fail.
October, maybe November.
Yeah, that's depressing.
Yeah, which makes no sense.
And how is that even going to work? Because it's like, okay, you've missed so many games.
It's going to be the worst of all worlds because they will play. They won't play in the spring when they would get all the attention and be the only game in town. And they'll be playing too late in the fall to be they won't make the college football playoff.
They are banking. There won't be any college football playoffs this year. They are banking on.
I think there will.
No, there won't.
They just won't include a Big Ten or Pac-10 team.
Exactly.
Maybe.
Exactly.
Okay.
There still will be. There still will be.
The thing is that they are banking on the SEC having to shut down. That's the thing. They are banking.
They're hoping, yeah.
They're banking on it because if the SEC shuts down, the Big Ten was right. And they're like, well, look, we didn't have football because we knew it was going to get bad.
That's not the analysis I'm hearing. I really don't think it is.
Really? As a fake sports commentator on the radio, I don't agree with you. So
fine.
Feigned controversy here. No, like I think it's a play. I think they overplayed their hand when they were like, oh, we're gonna have this, and this as guidelines, and then Ohio State's like, oh, well, we're way beyond that. We could play, and Nebraska's like, well, we want to play. And
I mean, have you seen all the testing coming out of the NFL pre-training camps who were not in a bubble? They were not in a bubble the way that the NHL and the NBA have been in bubbles in one location, all teams supposedly secure unless they're sneaking people in at night, like all the stories you hear about.
Right, or sneaking.
I haven't. Talk to me about it.
I can't. I stopped listening to ESPN radio.
Yeah, I was going to say
they pissed me off too much.
I literally gave most of it.
Yeah, I literally gave it up. I gave it up as soon as they started talking about fake history and that America was founded by a bunch of racists. So,
but the point, like they're down in Orlando. The NBA is right. Orlando's where they're at.
Yeah,
and they're supposed to none of them are supposed to be leaving. You know, they're all stuck on It's a Small World After All or something like that. They just can't leave.
That's right. Let me tell you. If you're stuck, that's not where you want to be.
Maybe I understand why they're sneaking out at night, but they're literally not supposed to have outside people in. They're not supposed to leave. It's all in an effort to bubbleize them and protect them from the virus.
LeBron James doesn't want to get sick.
And
needs an excuse for
the NFL did not do this. They did testing, but I think people went to their hotel rooms or their homes if they lived in town. Like there wasn't a bubble where all teams were only in one bubble. Everyone was at their own facility. All this testing done before the season started. One positive COVID case out of a player at all.
And right now,
NFL.
MLS, because I know you guys love MLS. MLS is playing their regular schedule. And in their regular stadiums, they just started having a couple of fans. Like I want to say maybe it's 20% capacity at this point for some of the teams. Mm-hmm. But they were playing in a bubble to start off with, like the NBA was, and they were down in Orlando too. They were playing in a bubble. They had a couple people get sick. A couple teams had to drop out. But since they've started, I don't know that since they started the regular schedule and playing at their homes and away, I don't think that anybody's gotten it.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting.
Well, because as we talked about on the show last week, it's like if the sensitivity of the test is too high.
Correct.
The sensitivity of the test is way too high.
Then there's also something else going on, and I don't know if you guys have seen this, and that is the difference between, and this has been spoken about by the CDC, but it hasn't made the news, is the difference between case fatality rate and infection fatality rate. Did you guys talk about that last week?
No, we did not. We did not.
So the difference here is case fatality rate of identified cases, so people that have gotten sick and been identified. We know that with any disease, the infection rate is going to be somewhat higher than the case rate because there's going to be people that are asymptomatic. There's going to be people that just don't come in, they fight it at home or whatever. Okay, that's true of any flu season or of anything. There's cases and there's infections. The studies, and I don't have the study right in front of me now because I wasn't really prepped for this part of the segment because we were going to talk football, but
which we still are. I mean, it relates.
The point being, the studies that the CDC had done and were referencing said that the infection rate versus the case rate of COVID is somewhere between 12 and 24 times higher. That means for every case we know we've had of COVID, there's actually probably 12 to 25 times more actual infections out there because of asymptomatics, et cetera, et cetera. So, but then they still walked that back. They took a 10% number. They took a 10% higher, 10 times higher, not 10%, 10 times higher number. Okay. So what they're saying is that there's an assumed 10 times more COVID infections than cases.
Right. Okay.
So now when you take the known fatalities, even with the comorbidities and everything else, which both sides are misplaying that number. I assume you guys addressed that.
We did address that last week.
Yes.
Okay. But when you take those fatalities and you put it into that 10 times greater number, I don't have the numbers right in front of me, but it comes out to less than 1%. It comes out to a bad flu season.
Right.
And that's not, now I understand this all happened in a year. This all happened quickly. No one is saying this is a fake virus and it doesn't exist and it doesn't kill people.
Right.
And that's the instant thing people hear when you say, well, actually the infection fatality rate indicates that this is more on par with a bad flu season. Oh, but look at how many dead already this year compared to only this many died. Like, total number of people dead, yes. Number of people who have likely had the infection and died from it, percentage-wise, comes out similar.
Right.
That's where you have to understand percentages. And so the point being, we have slaughtered an economy and caused unknown years-long effects in mental health, abuse, other deaths, other illnesses, other heart disease, other things going unreported and unchecked because we've terrified an entire population of people over something it attacks certain specific groups of people. Other people are relatively healthy, asymptomatic, and get through it. And folks, it also seems to be following a pattern where when it moves into an area, it burns heavy for about 6 to 8 weeks and then dies out. It peaks. It hits herd immunity in that area and it drops off. Look at what's going on in Hawaii right now. Hawaii from early March has been on uber strict lockdown, 100% mask mandate all the flipping time.
Right.
They thought, oh, Hawaii's great. They have all of a sudden it is burning through Hawaii right now.
Right.
Why? Because it's now made it to that area and it's going through its cycle.
So if you look at it hit the Northeast super hard, hit the Northeast, the Southeast did not get much, right? For several weeks, like about a month and a half, 2 months. And now the Northeast, we're all pretty much good except for all of the crazy governors. And it's burning through the South and everybody's freaking out.
Well, that actually happened a few weeks ago and it's dropping off in the South again.
Right. So you're seeing areas of the country. I think they said Illinois is a really good example because Illinois just shut down immediately. And they didn't get it at the same time that Michigan got it and everybody else because they shut down their entire state. But now
when you
they're getting it.
It's good. You're going to have to get it.
Right.
The virus exists.
Yeah.
You can't avoid it.
Right. And so we're looking at it's bad. But once it moves through, it's done. There's not really much left.
It's still there. The at-risk people are still at risk.
For instance, my state is getting around, I think it's 200 out of 8 million people in my state, around 200 to 400 cases per day. And we're in less than 10 people per day are dying from it. Which is still it's still not amazing, but comparative to 400 to 500 people per day dying from it.
Exactly. And again, the comorbidities, that does the entire economy need to be locked down?
Right.
No.
Right.
Yes, people with comorbidities still possibly died because of, they died with COVID, not only solely because of COVID. Okay. What intelligent people say when they're pointing out that statistic, they're not saying that, see, COVID is a hoax, it only killed 6% of people.
Right. And we combated that last week.
There are people that are saying that.
There are. We combated that.
People on the right who are taking that number and running that way with that.
I would estimate that being closer to 50%. Probably closer to 50% of people ended up.
No. I won't even put a number on it because I don't know how to go about doing that. What it shows is that the comorbidity thing dictates how you approach it. If this is a disease that runs rampant through a perfectly healthy, pristine population and wipes them out at will with no deference to who you are, and what your immune system's doing, then yeah, you're right. Lockdown's the only answer, right?
The bubonic plague.
You know,
right.
When this
or the Black
attacks
Death,
specific groups of people, you can do things to both save your society and save lives.
Right.
By protecting certain classes of citizens, dare I say it that way, well, not completely just ending all freedom and all quality of life. Okay,
Right.
And by classes of citizens, we're really going by
referring by
mostly
age or
proportion
and health risks. So morbid obesity has shown to be one of the massive comorbidities, like morbid obesity and like breathing type, like asthma type things, things like that, respiratory issues, problems. And then obviously advanced age and any kind of
being said,
immune system.
Mostly it's over 65.
Correct.
Over 65.
So now we know and I get when it first comes out and you don't have numbers.
Right.
I'll give you the first few weeks trying to figure out what's going on.
Right.
When you see these, and here's the thing. A lot of these numbers, this infection fatality rate, these things like this, how it burns through a population. What's the closest thing we've had to like a controlled laboratory study on this?
We had those cruise ships, but
the Diamond Princess. The cruise
I'd argue that was swayed a little bit because typically older population.
Correct, but you can analyze it by number of who gets it. The point being is my understanding, and I'm now taking someone else's a little bit of their analysis because I haven't had time to literally read every single one of these studies. Okay, so forgive me, but I'm taking these numbers from people who basically their second job in life is an obsession with statistics. Okay, is that what we're seeing now of the numbers when the CDC mentions the infection fatality rate versus the case fatality rate is right on par with what was predicted from the Diamond Princess study. If extrapolated out, than the original, what was the college over in London that basically said the whole world was going to die.
I forget the name of it.
So Imperial College, I think. And
there you go.
What we're seeing is that the freak out at the beginning was wrong. We're also seeing a bad number of positive tests. That the viral load they're checking for is too high. Now, obviously that lowers the case numbers, which would then increase the case fatality rate, but it may not. It doesn't affect the infection fatality rate because it means they had the infection at some point. They're just not an active case because they've fought it off, right? That's what lowering that viral load would do. And the other thing we're seeing is the colleges. So everyone's starting to freak out about kids go back to college. Oh no, it's burning through this college. It's burning through that college. Do you know what the college studies are showing? There's been how many hospitalizations have come from these?
Very few, if none. Very few, if none.
Zero as of a couple days ago.
So I won't say zero because I don't know that, but very, very, very few, if none.
No, literally zero. The numbers were literally zero as of a few days ago. That may have changed in the last 3 or 4 days.
I know personal reports from down in Alabama right now, Tuscaloosa and Auburn, where the virus is rolling through Auburn University and Alabama and the University of Alabama.
Alabama, and there are the analysis was
very, very few issues.
There was zero. It's mild cases, mainly asymptomatic. They're also being positives based on this higher viral load testing.
Right.
Okay, that's the other way they're being identified, and so you've got all those issues coming together, and people are trying to freak out and send kids home from college when it does. These are the populations that are safer.
Right.
So again, some of this stuff we need to go on with our life. No, I don't want to kill Graham. Here's an excellent point. I've seen a lot of people fighting because here's another side of this. Masks don't work. There's apparently a study being used by the CDC that some congressman had asked the CDC directly, show me your data that you're using to justify mask mandates and mask recommendations. The data that was sent to this congressman indicates that you have to get it's less than 1%, I believe it's less than 1% reduction in spread. You have to have at least 11% compliance in the population. So for every 11% full compliance masking in a population, you get less than 1% in the spread.
Interesting. So how does this? We have to ask the serious question, Jeff.
So the most you can reduce it at the most is maybe 10%. You can reduce the spread, maybe, and you're not even really going to get that much. Okay.
We have to ask the question, Jeff. How does this affect the NFL?
I'm not ready to come back to the NFL yet.
Oh my goodness!
You threw me off. The point being, and now you've lost me. Oh. Both sides have issues.
I'm just trying to keep us on topic here.
The people, we're on the coronavirus topic now, so there's no point. Late. The people that are like, oh, I shouldn't have to work, because now you're seeing the left is starting to have valid arguments against people on the right, as far as like, oh, you just want your precious freedom and not be inconvenienced by a mask, so you'll kill grandma to not wear a mask. Okay. Let me give you this. If the data showed that masks work, I'll wear a mask all day, every day, everywhere, all the time. Okay. You do not, being conservative, believing in individual rights, and also being pro-life means this. You do not have a right to not be inconvenienced when someone else's life is at stake. That exact same thing applies to abortion. So if you think a mask is an inconvenience, but you not wearing it is going to kill a bunch of people, sorry, you don't have a right to not wear a mask. Mathis may or may not like my take on that. That's where I'm at that on that at this point. It's the same way where you don't have a right to kill the life inside of you just because it's an inconvenience to you right now in your life. Okay. Pro-life means you do not have a right to be not be inconvenienced when someone else's life is at stake.
So then you should stop driving a car.
Yeah.
No. Someone else's life is not directly threatened and at stake because you're driving the car. We're saying if masks are essential, if you will 100
proven to be essential, like that,
yes,
they are.
If you correct. This is what I'm saying.
Okay. So we're going off masks, of an absolute that it has been proven that they will save this person's life.
Correct. If what they're saying is that if you don't wear a mask, grandma will die, that you're an asymptomatic spreader, that you're spreading it everywhere, and the only way to stop spreading it is the mask, and the mask is 100% effective, and you have to wear it. If that's all proven and the data's there, fine. I'll wear the mask.
I can go with that.
The point is, the data proves the masks don't work.
Right.
And so now, when the data doesn't back it up, no, you don't have the right to enforce these ridiculous mandates that there's no scientific data supporting. Well, there's twisted scientific data supporting, and there's a lot of feels supporting. And so I guess that's what I'm trying to. People play one side or the other too hard. People play it's my rights. I don't care. Screw your mask. I have a right to not wear one if I don't want to. Okay, not necessarily. If masks are the 100% anecdote, I don't know that you have a right to not wear one in certain places. Okay. That being said, the data doesn't support that. And then the mask mandate is helping soften people up for what could potentially be a vaccine mandate.
Oh, that's possible.
If it just saves one life, And I don't know that I'm ready to go there yet, but vaccine mandates are a bad thing. And this is coming from someone who is fully vaccinated, is not an anti-vaxxer in any way.
Yeah.
My children will most likely be vaccinated. But someone mandating a rushed to trial vaccine, because you know what, guys?
Mm-hmm.
There's different types of viruses, right? The flu that goes around every year, that's a rhinovirus, is my understanding. This is a coronavirus, okay? The last coronavirus, the first SARS, they spent years attempting to come up with a vaccine for it. Could not be done. Eventually, the virus made its way around the world, got out there, burned itself out. It got to such low levels they couldn't even keep funding for research for a vaccine for it. And now the first SARS, you hardly hear about it, and there's no vaccine for it. It was impossible to create one for it.
Right.
It just didn't happen. Now, the one that they're touting, they're on a second set of trials. I forget which company it is that's making it. Their first set of trials, they had an adverse reaction to it in human trials. They said, no, that was some other thing. So they ran a second set of adverse trials, and they're seeing they've stopped that now because they're seeing some adverse neurological reaction to it in the trials. There may never be a vaccine, so we cannot just stay locked down until a vaccine.
New Jersey can.
Apparently Michigan can, because I'm learning now in Michigan, I coach a high school soccer team, and I'm learning that all high school sports that are playing in Michigan may have to wear masks even while they are playing sports now.
That's terrible. Because you don't have to do that in New Jersey.
So back to the NFL.
Is just trying to one up you. So now back to the NFL. Those guys don't even have to wear masks while they're playing.
Isn't that interesting?
Did you see how maybe the Detroit Lions will have to, though, because our governor is
they're in Michigan.
Maybe it'll help. Well, at least you'll have a better excuse for losing this year.
Wow. So
you guys got me off of my.
No, that's fine.
I wasn't really ready to go yet. But
so NFL kicked off with Kansas City versus the Houston Texans,
which should have been a good game. I didn't
watch the game. I didn't watch the game.
I saw the last 2 minutes.
Was it good?
What's the last 2 minutes?
I have Travis Kelce in both my fantasy leagues, so it worked out for me. He did okay.
Nice. Good
All
job.
Right. Cool.
So a little bit of controversy at the beginning of I did see this part. A little bit of controversy at the beginning of the.
Here we go.
I saw like the hot takes on YouTube about it.
Right. So I watched the first like 5 minutes, and saw the Houston Texans not come out for the national anthem, which I don't care either way. Saw the Kansas City came out for the anthem, and all but one player stood for the national anthem.
Right.
Which again, I don't care either way.
Why do we care? Like,
why do we?
If I'm not wrong,
because someone told us we had to care.
No. But they didn't used to come out for the national anthem.
No, they didn't. They used to stay in the locker room for the national anthem.
Right, and they used to come out.
Yes,
from
they
my
did.
Understanding, they used to come out
It
after
wasn't
the
until
national
it wasn't
anthem.
until a couple. It wasn't until like 5 or 6 years ago, 5 or 10 years ago that they.
Was it 5 or 10 years ago, or was it all post? I mean, you 5 or 6 years ago, last year, 5 or 10 years ago, maybe it was 19 years ago.
Was this
because they started a lot of these?
Mathis, you lied.
Was this before or after the wall?
No, they were coming out for years. They were coming out for years.
A lot of this is post 9/11 patriotic displays.
Correct.
Have continued.
Right.
Since we're tying it in with the previous topic.
Absolutely.
Right.
From what I understand, they did play the Black National Anthem.
Okay. Now here's
which we have.
How about we say
we have analyzed on the show.
Stand up and sing or whatever. Because
here's what I got.
Call it the Black National.
I know. I don't like the name.
Here's my problem. With it is. It is a decent song.
Yeah.
Okay. It is a decent song. The first problem I have is they're calling it the Black National Anthem.
Right.
Okay. Here's my problem with this.
It indicates that there's a separate nation.
Right. We have a national anthem. It is the Star Spangled Banner.
Right.
Is our national anthem for everyone who is an American.
I'll come out on the show and say it.
Whether you're black or white, pink, whatever.
We can swap those songs. I'm okay with that.
It is your national anthem. Okay. So what this is doing, and the problem is it is a good song. Like, it's a decent song. The lyrics are good. It's not a terrible song. The problem is it's causing segregation by saying, okay, well, we are not part of this America. Right. Okay, and if you're not going to be part of America, there is an entire continent that has. If you're so against everybody in America, there's an entire mute him. There is. But what I'm saying though is there are other continents that you can go to. No, but there are other continents that you can go to. If you don't want to be American, go somewhere else. If you're concerned about all of the whiteness in America and everybody being crazy, that there is a continent that is majority black. Move to Africa or move to Jamaica or move somewhere else. I'm not saying that I'm against that black people should do that, but what I am saying is if you don't want to be in this country and you don't want this, and you're going to cause segregation in the country by this means or by any other type of means, and you don't want to, and you don't feel like you're part of this country, go to another country.
I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying.
I know that sounds like
I don't
really
know if
harsh.
I'd say it the same way though.
Really racist,
Yeah,
but
I get what you're saying. Yeah, I don't know if I'd say it like that way.
But I'm just saying there are other countries. There's other countries where you can, it's like the people who talk about, okay, well, America doesn't have as good of a system as France or Germany or whatever other countries.
Move there.
Right. Go to that country. If you think Canada has better health care and they have better everything, go to Canada. Become a Canadian.
Now, I see some flaws with that theory because let's say you like most of the things about this country, but you think Canada's healthcare is better.
Right.
This is the country you've grown up in. Your family's been here for generations. Should you just move to the next country because you like their healthcare but don't like some other things about them? Or would you rather reform your country that overall you like but you want their healthcare? Would you not work to change your country?
You can try and reform the country that you're in. Is what I would say. And the problem
that's what they're doing.
No, it's not, because they are causing deliberate segregation and trying to split the country into a different country.
No, they're not trying to fundamentally transform it into a different country.
Right. By segregating it.
It's only segregation because you won't come over to their side.
No, but that's what I'm saying, though. And that's why I have a problem with the NFL playing this, is because what it's doing is it's causing more separation, more segregation between Americans, quote unquote, I guess if you want to call them, because it's against everybody who's American. So if you're calling yourself an American, then it's separating Americans. And then you have the Black National Anthem, which I guess is separating certain blacks.
I know what you're saying. Again, I don't know if I would say it that way, especially on a public show, but I know what you're saying. And it's the fact of the we've literally come so woke that we've come from no segregation to forced segregation, like back the opposite direction.
Right.
Like we have to have
University of Michigan Dearborn.
Exactly.
You saw that this week, right, Jeff?
And I did not.
The People of Color Cafe.
Oh,
and
actually,
the non-people of color cafe,
right?
Segregated cafes.
Right. This is stuff that people were fighting over in the '60s to stop, and now we're going
and now
back
they want it for their
it.
safe space, and
right.
it's
And now we're
so
going back
weird
to it. This is like
and it's the
crazy.
self-classifying of yourself of, well, this is for Black Americans, and it's like,
well, it's identity politics,
right?
It's identity politics because you can't be an individual; you have to be part of the group.
Correct. I think,
and if you want to be part of the group, there are lots of other countries so you can be part of those groups.
Because I didn't really watch the game, I've seen, as Ben said, the hot takes on everything. I'm curious. So we had one team come out, one team not come out. We apparently, when the teams then came to midfield and like linked arms in some moment of silence, moment of unity thing. Okay,
a lot
of the fans booed. Now, there was different takes on that. I think even one of the coaches there thought that maybe the away team was being booed coming out on the field. That might be a stretch, given
the problem.
Maybe
the problem with that is there weren't enough people in the stands to make it abundantly clear
what was going on.
Right.
So the other thing is I saw hot takes from the left that it was like, you said it was just about respecting the anthem, so we respected that and have a moment of silence afterwards, and you still boo. Can we finally admit it's not about the anthem?
Then we also need to admit that the anthem, the two people that sang the anthem both had the T-shirts with the faces of two of the Black people that got killed. One was George Floyd, and then Brooks, maybe? Anyway, so, because that's completely not political.
Well, I think... Was it Jacob Blake?
Maybe it was Blake.
I didn't watch any of it. That hot take from the left is kind of right if people said it was only about because a lot of people got really up in arms about it and then got accused like last year with the whole, or with the last couple of years with Kaepernick and the anthem kneeling thing.
Yeah.
And they get accused of being racist. And so their default defense was it's just about respecting the anthem and the people who died for this country, et cetera, et cetera. So now they're being called on that. If it's only about the anthem, so I make my statement at a different time than during the anthem, I've now paid deference to your anthem, and now I'm making my statement at a different time, you're still booing me. That's a correct calling out of those people booing, I would say. Is that valid or not valid? If the people's defense of hating these displays is that they're during the anthem and that they are marring what the anthem stands for, so now the displays have been postponed to a different moment. If that's
exclusively what it is, then yes.
Correct. So what I'm saying is people that haven't well-defined, and then this goes down to just picking a hard side of an issue and not having a nuanced view. And spoiler alert, there's still going to be some more heavy stuff about nuanced views coming up in this episode. But we try to bring nuanced views on this show. And the point being, a lot of times you're a lot truer to yourself, and it's a lot easier to defend your point of view if it's nuanced. So you just immediately go, I don't like Kaepernick kneeling. Well, why? You're a racist. No, I'm not racist. I respect the anthem and the people who died for this country. I'm pro-military. Okay. So they call your bluff maybe a little bit. And they say, fine, we won't do it during the anthem. We'll do it after the anthem. And then if you still boo them, it wasn't just about the anthem. Then just be honest. You just don't want politics in your football, or you don't want this, or you don't want that. Be honest about what you want.
Right.
Don't just say, don't fall to what you think is the easy got you defense of just respect the national anthem. Now, that being said, my frustration with the displays is it's all built on a lie.
Okay.
It's all built on a lie that there is systemic, just outstanding bald-faced racism running rampant through the country that must be addressed, like it's basically running as rampant as coronavirus was predicted to.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
well,
literally,
yes. Yes.
But it's not.
You are correct.
Statistically, it's not.
Statistically not.
And so now,
as I've said before, we can debate institutional racism, but we cannot assume that every single person in this country is a racist and say that they are racist inherently.
Well, it's based off my problem on skin color.
Yeah, and so my problem with these displays is that they are drawing attention to I don't want to say non-existent.
They're making a mountain out of
a drummed up issue. And they're making it seem like this is this public health crisis where like 80% of our minority population is getting wiped out daily by just this jackbooted police force that's just attempting to
wipe out a certain people group.
And that everyone whose skin is white also has a white hood in the trunk of their car. Like that is not the case, and that is not the narrative.
Ask Robin DiAngelo, and she says we do.
And so that's a little bit of my concern with the display, is that a lot of it is built on a lie, and people, again, nuance. It doesn't have to be one or the other, right? So what happened to George Floyd was wrong. Kneeling on him for that long, once you had him under control and cuffed, I think is wrong. Now, we're learning months later that maybe just the kneeling on him alone isn't what killed him. He was full of drugs. Okay. And again, so what that means is he passed and they're saying, when this all started, he was this great guy. He did all these great things. He helped these kids, whatever. Oh man, you're going to kill a guy over passing a fake bill that he might not even have known was fake. They probably just treated him that way because he was black. No. Apparently, the man was stoned out of his mind. He may not have intentionally passed the fake bill because he was so stoned out of his mind he didn't even know what he was doing. He got belligerent with the store clerk about the fake bill. The store clerk called the police. The police showed up. He got belligerent with the police because he was stoned. And it led to this interaction. So again, there's not really any there's indications in that officer's record that he handles physical interactions with suspects incorrectly, potentially. But there's really not any indication that anything was racially targeted about it.
Right.
I don't know. What I would need to know, which I don't know, is that cops are all his bad interactions racial related or not.
Look.
Right.
But so there's both sides here. George Floyd should probably still be alive. He should not have been knelt on for that long. He was also not some massive pioneering, beautifully moral race crusader. He was a guy stoned out of his mind being belligerent with police officers. And there is some issue, like the Breonna Taylor thing. And again, she wasn't as pure as the initial arguments seemed to indicate either, but she definitely did not deserve to just be gunned down in the middle of the night in a no-knock raid. We need to address qualified immunity. We need to address no-knock raids. Are there reforms that need to happen? I'm not going to say probably need to happen. Need to happen. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Every other one of these issues that's happened since George Floyd has proved to be a total farce. Whether it's the guy who, again, was drunk out of his mind then in Atlanta and then grabbed a cop's taser and fired the taser at the cop and the cop shot him. Whether it was Jacob Blake, who was aggressive and abusive and had warrants and who said he was going to his car for a weapon is my understanding now. I don't know if you can fact check me on that one fast or not, Mathis, but he was known to be violent, was going to his vehicle, pulling away from police officers aggressively. Okay. Whether it was the one in Minneapolis where they were looking for a shooting suspect and the guy ended up, as he got cornered, he committed suicide and there was a mini little riot. You know, that one got brushed under the rug really fast. There was mini riots, if you can call them mini, in relation to that one where the guy killed himself. Okay. So they are looking for a reason to pop off. And every single reason so far is just flat out false.
So that's
my frustration.
This is the hallmark. Displays. This is a hallmark of critical theory activism.
Oh, we're going here now.
I didn't want to, but
here we go.
Just complaining about everything is a hallmark of critical theory activism. It doesn't have to be founded. You just have to complain about it loud enough and long enough and hard enough. And basically all you have to do is be a Karen and just complain about everything because the squeaky wheel gets the grease. That is the entire crux. You destabilize by complaining. Petulant little children. Okay? Real solutions are not being offered. Real solutions are not being offered. All we want to do is riot.
Right.
Okay? If we were willing to sit down and actually talk about it and make real, and everyone's like, oh, but the kneeling was an attempt to get us to talk. The kneeling during the national anthem was an attempt to get us to talk about it. And no one wanted to talk about it then. So we had to escalate to rioting. No.
I'm sorry, but wearing socks with cops depicted as pigs, wearing a Che Guevara shirt.
You escalated it.
And kneeling in response to, again, false narratives such as hands up, don't shoot.
Right.
Which was a false narrative.
Didn't happen.
Obama's DOJ under Eric Holder said it did not happen.
No.
Okay. So this is the thing. You push the false narrative.
Already done.
You push the false narrative. Now, a bunch of well-meaning people who have been taught they're being oppressed, they're being, and maybe they've encountered personal interactions of oppression.
But
that may happen.
Jeff, anecdotes are not fact. They do not prove the rule.
Well, even if you've encountered it personally, it's not systemic. But now maybe they've encountered it personally. Now they're being told it's systemic, and they're saying, well, yeah, I've seen it. And so now there are well-meaning people out there that want to bring about change. And then you also have the other bad actors who, even if there are well-meaning people that believe this is systemic and they do want to go march peacefully in the vein of Martin Luther King, okay, they do all these things. But then mixed into that group, you have the intentional bad actors who are just trying to spark the riot. You have the massive crowds of white 20-somethings who are screaming in people's faces in restaurants when they're just trying to eat. You know what I'm saying? Like we've seen this. The people that attacked Kyle Rittenhouse, every single one of them was white.
Right.
So it's not a race issue.
No, it's not.
From
And
that
that's why I'm saying this is not a race issue.
It's not a race issue.
This is a philosophical issue.
Correct.
This is a philosophical issue, and I argue that it is a fight between liberal thought, and by liberal thought, I'm not talking political party here. I'm talking about actual liberal thought of freedom, Western philosophical society. Exactly.
Individual rights, individual
freedoms and liberties. Yes. That you are an individual and you determine your destiny by your choices, not anyone others.
And your choices do affect others.
Absolutely, they do. They absolutely do. And so you have liberal thought versus critical thought. And critical thought is based on Marxism, which then, Franklin, the Frankfurt School, which was a bunch of washed up Marxists, then thought, well, Marx failed. Marx screwed up. And, with these tens of millions of people dead, we have to change something with it. And so they were like, oh, let's call it postmodernism, which postmodernism is the rejection of reason, rejection of absolute truth.
Yeah,
it is question
data, science,
everything,
facts, everything.
Question everything, even if it's a fact.
And this is why the feels.
But again, not question everything the way Thomas Jefferson said.
No.
Question with boldness, even the very existence of a God.
No, this is question as in deny fact.
Correct. It's
because
not
facts are not.
It's not question to learn the truth, and when you encounter the truth, accept it.
No, there is no truth.
Tear down.
There is no truth.
All current standards of truth.
And so in 67 or 68, we then see the pivot in the United States from postmodernism to critical theory, to critical thought. And you then see the emergence of gender theory, critical race theory in the 80s, in the early 80s.
It's because it's divide and conquer. You must divide, classify.
Right. Intersectionalism, race identity, identity politics, because you cannot unite unless you divide is the idea. But yet it never unites ever.
Well, because it's not intended to.
It's not.
It's intended to
empower. So one of the things people don't understand is that Marx was pissed. Marx was just a mean, nasty person, mad, thinking that because he was poor, that was the cause of his ills. He came out against materialism. Now, that is where it differs from postmodernism, because postmodernism said, oh, it's not materialism that is screwing us. It's absolute truth. It's objectivity that is screwing us. And so there was a slight pivot there from Marx's materialism to the pivot, but it's the same principles that are dictating the entire movement. The same thought processes that started with Marx have continued today all the way through critical theory, and has, in the last 5 years, has grown legs and has started running. Because it is promulgated through our education system. It is promulgated through our sports. And I would argue even through this pandemic, where you see reports of people freaking out because black people are disproportionately infected with COVID.
Is that even statistically proven?
I have no idea, but regardless, it's not a race issue. Like, it is not a race issue.
Correct. It's not an intentional race issue.
No.
It might be that certain genomes are more affected by it. Or it may be that here's how it's a race issue, Mathis. The evil capitalist white man has forced more minorities into tightly packed, poor big city areas, and those are the areas that are harder hit. And because racism has forced those people into those areas, they're harder hit by the disease.
Right. Right.
But that's how it's a race issue.
No, I hear what you're saying. Obviously, I know you don't subscribe to that, and obviously I don't either. But see, again, this is the thing with critical theory is you cannot debate it. There is no room for debate.
Well, because correct.
You either have to
implies exchanging facts to prove points.
So if you don't agree with someone, what are the three things you can do? You can engage, you can stop the conversation, or you can leave. Okay?
Wait.
Those are the three things that you can do. You can either be silent or you can just turn and walk away. Okay? As in remove yourself from the situation entirely.
Gotcha.
And just be done with it.
You can
sit there and take it.
Sit there and listen to them or leave.
Right, exactly.
Gotcha.
Okay? Those are the three things you can do with an argumentation. Well, according to Robin DiAngelo in White Fragility, which so remember here, critical theory gave birth to white privilege. White privilege gave birth to white complicity. Okay, which is the idea of it's one step above white fragility. So you've got white privilege, which is white people are inherently racist. And white people are given
you're better off because of all of history.
There you go. You then have white complicity, which is white people are complicit. They are allowing this to happen. They are proponents of it, and they have a active role in it.
So they continue to allow it to happen.
Now, white fragility, which is the next step, the next evolution, which was Robin DiAngelo's book, goes on to say, you, as a white person, if you deny it, if you are silent, or if you walk away, you are proving your racism.
Silence is
violence.
Silence is compliance.
Silence, yeah, that's right. That's right. So
it's not enough to be racist. You have to be
actively anti-racist. So here's the thing with actively anti-racist does not mean that you speak out against racism. Actively anti-racist means that you get in line with their goals and their organizations, and you are an active activist for critical theory. This is the thing that most people don't understand. They read it for face value. This is a Trojan horse. Critical theory is a Trojan horse, guys. It is a wolf in sheep's clothing. What it says, if I may take one of James Lindsay's phrases, the cover does not reflect what is on the inside. It does not reflect what they actually want. And when you start reading and you start analyzing and you start studying what they are actually pushing and what you are required to do as an adherent to critical theory, it is terrifying. It is absolutely terrifying because what it means is the death of Western civilization, the death of Western thought, and the death of everything that most Americans hold near and dear. It is the ushering in of Marxist postmodern thought. And it is a revolution to transform what we are experiencing right now. Now, I don't know if you guys realize this, but the United States is a leader in medical research. Did you know that? I knew that.
They're not acting like it, right?
We are a leader in medical research. Well, that's because we're not requiring masks, Jeff. So we're a leader in medical research. We spend the most money on research funding for medical, and we send our medical research all over the entire world to literally save people's lives. That's liberty. That's free market. That's capitalism. That all disappears under Marxism. That all disappears under critical theory because it can no longer exist. It is not allowed to exist because you are not allowed to determine your own destiny and to place value on things that you view value in, like saving people's lives. It is a scourge. It is an absolute scourge to liberal thought. And I'm telling you guys, this is a hill I will die on.
Again, liberal meaning good.
Liberal meaning good, yes.
People that don't follow politics.
Right.
This is a hill I will die on. I will not allow my country to go down the route of critical theory. It is death.
Well,
it is
Ben
death.
said, if you don't like it, just leave.
Well, yeah, they can leave.
I'm talking about you. They already won.
There are lots of countries.
They didn't win. Okay, so here's the thing. Here's the positive.
Should leave.
Here's the positive, Jeff. The positive.
Does he actually live in the United States anyway?
I'm in Nebraska. No, not really.
I cannot reveal where his location is. All I can tell you is that it's being tracked.
So here's the thing. Liberal thought will always win. And listen. The reason being,
history says no, but okay.
History says yes.
History says
yes.
It took like
just stop,
and it's about dead, and it's only been 200 years. But okay,
just stop. I think there is good. There is good evidence. Wow, thank you, Ozzy. There's good evidence that look. I believe that you can take Scripture and you can see the basis of liberal thought being presented in Scripture. Okay? Freedom, personal responsibility. Freedom, personal responsibility, accountability.
So we're talking good liberal thought.
Yes. And when I say liberal thought, that's all I'm talking about.
Okay.
I've caveated this before, not the political party.
Progressive will indicate leftist thought.
Yes.
Liberal indicates classical liberal thought.
Right.
Did you know there's only 2 countries that refer to liberals as liberal? As leftists? It is the United States and Australia. Those are the only 2 countries in the world who refer to liberals as not liberal, as in
not liberal.
Not liberal. Okay. So for Jeff's benefit here,
maybe you should.
I think there's a precedent set through Scripture of personal responsibility, accountability, that you are responsible for your own actions, not anyone else. It is not group think. Okay. I really think that you can set a basis for that. And so I believe that liberal ideology, liberal thought is based on a Judeo-Christian worldview.
Well, it is.
No, I know. Just
Christian heritage.
Throughout history, there have been societies where this worldview has succeeded. You see some of the Roman Republic. You see in Greece. Some of Greece. Throughout history, this has been. It may not. So here's my thing.
This is the reason that everyone loves to bring up the quote, the John Adams quote, that this country was made, that our system of government was for a moral and religious people, and it's wholly inadequate to any other. It's because to live by the freedom allowed by and within the bounds created by this classical liberal framework of government, where it's not super oppressive and it is very relaxed, the only way is for people with this type of worldview, with the Judeo-Christian values of individual responsibility, sanctity of life, etc., etc. That's the only way it can work.
So here's my thing. I believe it succeeds. I believe that in the long term, 1,000 years down the road, liberty will succeed. It may not succeed here in the United States. It may not. But I believe in the end it will succeed. And why is that? Because critical thought always kills itself off. They always starve people. They always send people into poverty. We may see the dark ages before liberty comes back. But it will come back. It will emerge. and it will prevail. I absolutely believe that.
Maybe. But to Jeff's point, liberty's only been around for a couple hundred years.
It is not the natural state of man. This is a very unnatural experiment that we are part of here.
I believe it will prevail.
It's one of the first few times it's been done with.
Why do you have to be so pessimistic, Jeff? I'm being the optimistic one here.
He's not wrong. That's the problem.
I'm being optimistic.
That's the problem. Is you're looking at something that's a very small snippet.
I'd argue it's not just a small snippet of time. I'd argue that
since man was kicked out of the Garden of Eden.
Where are the other examples?
They have been oppressed by their fellow man and government since they were kicked out of the Garden of Eden.
Right.
The fallen state
I'm not saying
of
it's
man
perfect.
Is to be oppressed.
I'm saying that the beauty of liberal thought it transcends.
Natural order is chaos, not order.
It transcends. I'm telling you.
I don't think it does.
I don't think it does.
I think it's a very
I
think it's a very unnatural state.
The problem is that you're talking about you have to look at the viewpoint of how our country was founded, by whom our country was founded by. Those people are not here anymore.
No, I agree.
And our country is arguably getting to the point where those people were going to be in this within, I would say, a few, maybe 100 years or so, maybe less, that we will be at the point where you had the Puritans being oppressed and leaving Britain because of the type of oppression that America is going to start putting on religious freedoms.
And here's the thing, you're out of places to escape to until interstellar travel becomes.
Look, Musk says we're sending people to Mars within 48 months. So that's all I'm saying.
You're out of that pilgrimage escape to just let me go be my own self in my new world.
I understand what you're saying. And in some ways I agree, but I refuse to be pessimistic on this.
I'm not being pessimistic. I'm being realistic.
We don't care about your feelings.
That's what pessimists always say.
No,
we don't care about your feelings.
The answer is, and I think what you hinted around, Mathis, but you didn't fully say, is for the survival of liberal thought, it's revival or bust.
Pretty much, yeah.
You're not going to win this politically,
right?
No, I don't know. I don't think you can.
It's going to have to be won at the individual moral level. And I'm not, and I think because of some of the things you've said, our viewers are at danger of thinking that, we're these like only Republicans are Christians and mixing religion and politics.
Oh, no. As I told you guys this week.
That's not where that's going.
No. And see, this is why you need to convince people to go to another country so that we can have the country back.
This is what we mean when we say worldview matters. Your foundational worldview then dictates everything else you do. And there can be some other moral systems that we would find theologically incorrect that would still be compatible with the Western worldview, right?
Right, absolutely.
It's a generic Judeo-Christian worldview. Any kind of worldview that puts value on individual worth and individual achievement, but also responsibility. So I'm not talking straight up anarchism, okay? That would all fall within that purview. The problem is it's very hard to esteem other people's worth and other people's achievements, et cetera, without some sort of moral guiding principle, because it just comes me, my own, how can I get it? And that's where the progressive leftist critical worldview comes in, right? It's division, hatred, envy.
Yes.
So
that's what it's all built upon.
But think of it, Cain killed Abel because why?
Jealousy,
envy. Literally since we were kicked out of the Garden of Eden, it's been this way. So to say that, liberty will win out in the end.
I think it will.
I don't know that you can make that claim based on the foundation.
I'm optimistic. It's all about my feels.
I'd love to be optimistic.
It's all about my feels. I'm telling you, I am optimistic about this.
Critical theory dictates that liberty.
No, I'm optimistic about this, and I don't know why. I honestly don't know why, but I am more optimistic about the cause of liberty and Western thought than I have been in years.
I'm exact opposite right now.
I am. I'm sorry, I bummed you out, man. I'm very optimistic about it. I believe that people can be. I think people can be shown.
People are inherently good.
No, I don't. I'm not going to go there. I think that people are out for their own desires, and that sometimes those can be good and sometimes those can be bad. But yeah, I think in the end it wins. I think in the end, I think liberal thought wins, and that is what I'm hoping on. And you know what? Ultimately, in the big scheme of things, it doesn't matter.
Because none of us will be able to prove it because we'll all be dead.
Number one, we'll all be dead. Number two, I have faith in a God who's bigger than all politics. But until I die, I will be fighting for liberal thought. I will be fighting for individual liberty. I will be fighting against divisiveness and jealousy. Even if most of the country doesn't understand what critical thought is and doesn't understand that is what it is based on, I will fight against it.
The thing is, Mathis, you will do that because of your white fragility and because of your white rage and because of your inherent racism.
I love you, Jeff.
Leads you
it's true.
To bitterly cling to those things.
Yep.
And that's all we got to say about that.
Yep. This is going to be our last show right here.
Hey, look, all the cards on the table, boys.
At least for me.
That was a non-gendered person, Ken, and you just gave it a gender.
I tried this one chili and it set my mouth on fire and I had to drink a 2-liter of Mountain Dew.
All right, leave this guy alone with his poor constipated poops. We're going to come back and talk about politics. That's what really matters here.
First time ever coming back from Tombstone's intro and talking about politics.
But are we though?
It's more culture.
Time? I think you say that every single time.
I don't think it's the first time, and I didn't really think we were talking politics. So I think you might just be wrong on.
It's not really. It's not really politics, but it's culture.
Let's dive into it.
It's not really politics. It's culture, which isn't politics. So I don't know why.
Okay. Fine.
So what is cultural appropriation then?
Oh, that's politics. So
guys, you want to know what's politics? What's politics is the name of my fantasy football team, which is Russian collusion. But Russian is spelled RUSHIN apostrophe.
That really looks like that, or that sounds like a superhero team.
My team logo is the photoshopped image of shirtless Putin riding a bear. You know how there was the image of him on the horse?
I know the bear. That's my background. That's my computer background.
But have you seen the have you seen the one where Trump is photoshopped in next to him riding a lion with like an Uzi in his hand? Now they are side by side. That is my team logo. So you want to talk politics there.
That's terrifying. Wow. I don't know if you guys have been living under a rock this week, but have you heard about the new movie Cuties?
And it's still found.
I'm sorry. I'm not laughing at that. I'm laughing
at the picture.
At the picture. I found it.
Yeah, it's a revolver.
I found it. Yeah, that's not heavily photoshopped at all.
No, of course not.
It's so epic.
He has a 6-shooter in his hand.
That's what I said. It's a revolver, not an Uzi. I misspoke.
Man,
it's a revolver, not an Uzi.
What's wrong with you?
I was going from memory there. My bad.
So the nice hands there, Jeff.
You got it. I'm trying to send you guys something.
Oh, okay. He was just showing me his hands clicking the mouse.
Okay, we're gonna get into this, or just gonna be awkward the entire
this past, I guess 2 months ago, the controversy started when Netflix released a movie poster of the movie film, which premiered at the Sundance Film Festival in France, I guess. The movie Cuties, and the film was going to debut in the U.S. on Netflix. And the poster showed a bunch of young girls, 11 years old, in provocative poses, wearing provocative clothing. And it was met with protests. It was met with screams of "Take it down! This is encouraging, pedophilia," and it went on from there. Well,
which tells you that Western society isn't completely
no, it's not. It's not.
Right.
Thankfully, there was still some
which is
disfavor
moderately encouraging, I have to say.
Exactly.
I don't share Mathis's rosy view still, but
sorry, I believe it will succeed.
Definitely.
So the 2 days ago, it released on Netflix. Mm-hmm. And before it released, it came out on IMDb, or a bunch of trailers came out, which made their way around Twitter, and they were horrifying. Absolutely,
and then articles were written.
Absolutely horrifying.
Yep.
I watched some of these trailers, and I had to turn them off. It was the hypersexualization of little girls, and I was absolutely, unequivocally offended.
Yeah.
As a dad of 2 young boys and a little girl, I was sickened, and it was absolutely disturbing. Like it was the most disturbing thing I think I have ever forced myself to watch, and it was 30 seconds of a trailer. So all of a sudden, then people start posting pictures off of IMDb about how there's
for those IMDb Internet Movie Database, they provide descriptions of the movie's cast, and then there's a parent's guide that has content warnings, and it is a little bit open source. If you have an IMDb,
and that was the thing.
You can submit things like Wiki.
If you would like a really great resource, if you're a parent, on movies and television shows, Google Plugged In.
Okay.
Yeah, it is cool. It is by Focus on the Family. They do movie reviews, also reviews of TV shows that are excellent. So if you have any questions about what you're watching, or whether or not it's potentially appropriate for your children, go there. That is a great resource.
Yeah, that's fantastic. So IMDb, which it claimed some pretty heinous things, and the movie is pretty heinous as it is, but it showed on IMDb some very
the argument,
it was hyperbolic terminology, I guess,
down to whether there was underage nudity. In other words, essentially being pedophilia. Correct.
And the IMDb seemed to claim it was. The IMDb posting seemed to claim it was.
Or child porn.
Child porn, right.
Would be the other, more than pedophilia.
And so that being said, the conservative right latched onto this on Twitter and on Facebook and have run with it. And for some reasons, rightly so.
I don't think that's the only reason they run.
No, it's not the only reason, but that's one of the main reasons. One of the main reasons.
Well, the trailer didn't exactly help.
The trailer did not help at all.
The description of what it was supposed to be. It's just all about. So the plot line is apparently, I guess, this young. It's in France. It's a French movie. She's in France. She's a Senegalese. She's from Senegal.
Senegal. Yes, that's correct.
Senegalese girl who is within a Muslim family. And so they're actually a very strict conservative, if you're going to use that term, Muslim family. So they strictly adhere.
And I think you have to caveat that as well and say her dad was not in the picture because he's back in Senegal getting a second wife.
Well, I guess
I think that's crucial.
That's part of it.
That's crucial to set up the stage.
The point being, she's from this super strict religious family that follows these like super strict covering modesty, et cetera, guidelines, while still having this weird view of women in that they're almost just things to be used, but they also must be extremely modest. And so her dad's also getting a second wife. Okay. Again, none of us here have seen the movie, so these are the synopses being provided. But when both IMDb and Netflix advertise it, I guess I should finish the description first. So she comes from this background. Now she's with all these other young girls who are into this like pop culture, the hypersexualized pop culture, videos, rap, et cetera, she's being exposed to these things with zero context, kind of rebelling against her conservative lifestyle, engaging in these things she's seeing on the internet and with her friends, and she's just getting worse and worse. And that's kind of the setup. It's billed as a coming of age story where this 11-year-old girl rejects her oppressive religious background for her, exploring her femininity. I can't even say that word. Femininity. Thank you.
But it seems like a great feminist story, right?
It's apparently billed in its description as like a feminist coming of age, finding herself as her own woman. The description led many to believe.
So if you take the description and if you take the trailers,
read the let's be fair.
Let's read the IMDb and read the Netflix.
Which one do you have in front of you?
I don't have either one in front of me right now.
Okay, so here is, because
I knew you did.
Here's the current Netflix description, which has obviously been edited a few times in the fight over this so far. 11-year-old Amy starts to rebel against her conservative family's traditions when she becomes fascinated with a free-spirited dance crew. When I hear that, knowing what I know about Hollywood, obviously Hollywood is a euphemism
and from what I've seen in the trailers,
but just know
I'm terrified.
That to me is pitched as a good thing. She rebels against her conservative family's traditions when she becomes fascinated with a free-spirited dance crew. Okay, this sounds like Bend It Like Beckham. She comes from the super conservative Indian family where the girl's just supposed to stay at home and cook dinner and not show her knees, but she really, really wants to play soccer, and her family is kind of mad about it, but she slowly, quote unquote, rebels against her family playing soccer, and in the end, that rebellion, with her free-spirited soccer friend. And in the end, that rebellion is a good thing because it opens up the eyes of the family that, hey, girls can play soccer too, and everybody's happy at the end, right? Like that to me, it sounds like a descriptor similar to Bend It Like Beckham, where, hey, the old ways aren't necessarily always only good. Girls can do stuff too. Like that's what it sounds like. Okay.
So that's where all the conservatives jumped on board and thought and made that same comparison.
Because then it makes it sound like all the dancing and stuff is
the trailers. The trailers portrayed it as a glorification of sexualizing young girls. It never portrayed
any of this in a negative light.
Any alternative.
And here's the summary on IMDb is Amy, an 11-year-old girl, joins a group of dancers named the Cuties at school and rapidly grows aware of her burgeoning femininity. I still can't say it. Femininity. Upsetting her mother and her values in the process. So again, what's her face joins a soccer team and upsets her father in the process. We'll explore. Like, that's what it sounds like.
Right.
Okay.
And so let me play. We've got an audio clip from Ben Shapiro, Daily Wire. Now he's, remember, conservative Jew, incredibly conservative guy.
So let me set this up by this. So we've explained to you a little bit of the outrage. We've explained to you a little bit of the plot. We're explaining to you that instantly you had left and right immediately, because I've seen the screenshot of the articles of pointing out, like, basically there was articles. Oh, I wish I could find it. We'll have to find it here maybe. But there's articles talking about how that the right is freaking out about what this is pushing, and like basically it's good that it's pushing this. You know what I'm saying? Did you see those articles?
I saw them.
There's headlines from the left that seem to be confirming that it's about pushing hypersexualization and femininity,
right,
and that's a good thing. And then there's the articles from the right freaking out that's saying it's doing these things and warning and burn it all to the ground, which still may not be the wrong reaction.
It turns out that it seems like neither side is right.
There is nuance to every situation, and no, we are not about to defend this movie.
No, not in the least.
If you're about to turn it off, no, we're not about to defend this movie at all. The point being, the truth is always usually a little more nuanced than right or left camp. That's true on every single issue, even the issues where you're still 100% against
so
them.
The
what
pinnacle
Ben provides here is some nuance.
Right. So the pinnacle of the movie is at the very end, when Amy sneaks away from her dad's second wedding, and goes off to compete in a dance competition where there's a whole bunch of people watching, judges, adults watching these 11-year-olds compete on stage in grotesquely sexual poses, actions. It is.
And again, we have not watched this. It's
we have not watched the movie
the trailer, and then what you're about to hear we're trying to set up, because you obviously can't listen to the whole 15-minute Ben Shapiro breakdown of this, but he, agree or disagree with his choice to do this, he chose to sit down and watch the movie to then provide his audience with an analysis of, is it really as bad as they say? I'm assuming if it approached, I don't know. I don't. None of us chose to do that. We're relying on someone else's analysis.
And the reason being is I was so stomach churned by seeing the trailers. I knew I couldn't watch the movie. And if it had the content that was purported to be in there, there was not a chance I was ever going to watch it.
Yeah. And I don't know what makes people, at some point, someone has to see it to truthfully put that content's there. And he essentially fact checks that. I assume if it had reached to some level that people claimed it was there, he'd have turned it off. I don't know his mind. Point being, when Mathis is making these claims of this is the statement, this is the plot line, this is some of it coming of a summary from someone who has actually watched the show.
Exactly.
Not Mathis, but we are summarizing the analysis.
And so
of someone else
they are doing this hypersexualized dance routine at the very end of the movie. And as it progresses, now the trailer did not show any of this. The trailer just showed them in the dance routine. But in the actual movie, Ben Shapiro says that the adults in the video, is that in the clip here?
I think that's in the clip. Let's play the clip.
So let's play the clip.
The point being, we've reached a point where throughout the whole film, it's about the fact that she has come from such a sheltered and such a structured background, but she's unsupervised on the internet, and she is learning about her sexuality purely from pop culture and the internet in an unsupervised setting. That's what has led to this point.
So let's play this.
Right on her cell phone. As that scene goes on, you start to see cutaways of the crowd, and the crowd starts to get more and more disquieted because people in the crowd are realizing this is really over the top. This is really, really bad. The end of the scene, which was cut off online, was cut off for a reason. At the end of the scene is this girl, the main character, weeping openly and stopping the dance because she realizes that she has been exploiting herself, that she has made herself a worse person. She runs away from the dance. The end of the film is her rejecting both the second wedding for her father and the hypersexualized culture in favor of sort of this generic childhood innocence. She puts on a sweater that kind of buttons all the way up to the neck because it's supposed to be modest. And then she goes and she jump ropes to try and regain her innocence. Right? That's the end of the film. So several things can be true at once. And I think it's important to actually, watch things before you analyze what they are about. This may not justify why the film was made. Okay, the director of the film, by the way, has openly said that the reason the film was made is because she was walking. She's a black woman who was of Senegalese descent and grew up in an Islamic household. She said she was walking through the park in France and she saw a group of 11-year-olds dancing like this. And she decided that, and she said she was sickened by it, she says. And so she decided to make a movie trying to explore what in the world, as a culture, would we get to the point where 11-year-olds are dancing like this?
So my question is, and I know Shapiro gets to it in his talk here, but why would we think that sexualizing little girls on a video is okay in order to prove a point that it's bad?
So I think, yes. So I think
that's where I'm at right now.
Well, correct. So for folks that haven't caught up to speed with what's going on here, people thought that this was a film promoting the sexualization of young girls. It turns out that according to the producer's own producer, writer, the woman who made this, according to her own words in multiple interviews, and according to apparently how the plot ends, it is actually a commentary on how society is doing this and not a promotion of it. Okay, so it's actually a condemnation of the hypersexualization of young girls. It's also a condemnation of severely strict religious families, I would say too, because you notice she rejects both.
Right.
So in some ways, it's a reflection of the producer's, again, personal. We're violating a little bit of what Shapiro said about how can you analyze something without watching it, because we're kind of taking his word on watching it because we don't want to watch it. But it's her personal background from her strict background, probably seeing where she ended up in life, but then seeing where these girls are at and going, well, I think over here's not right, but how did we get over here? And she decided to make this into a movie. I can give her props for the message she may have wanted to talk about.
Yeah.
But what Mathis said is exactly right, and where it still needs to be condemned is in her attempt to draw attention to this issue. She's created extended scenes where you had to take real life 11-year-olds and make them act in the exact manner
right
that you are concerned society is teaching them to act in.
It's like, here, you're not supposed to act like this, but do it for this movie.
And
it's like, wait, what?
Even if they were coached that way throughout, even if these girls were brought in and these young actors and they were told, actresses, whatever term you're supposed to use these days in the politically correct society, even if they were told, we are going to have you portray something that's super wrong. This is wrong. You shouldn't be. Even if they were like coached and sermonized for a long time that they're not supposed to do this, they had choreographed dances made for them and then were made to do them in front of adults,
right,
and in front of cameras that, this is where this would be like saying, we're going to make a documentary, we're going to make a movie calling out what Jeffrey Epstein did as wrong. But in doing it, we're going to film all these weird scenes recreating what Jeffrey Epstein did to prove to you how wrong it is.
Right.
No, you make a documentary, and if there's real footage that's blurred out to prove whatever nasty things have happened, sometimes that unfortunate real past footage gets put in documentaries like that, although I don't even think that should be, because it's just re-sharing the exploitation. But the point being, you have kind of participated in the exploitation of a minor in making your statement supposedly against the exploitation of these minors.
that's where I have a huge issue with the movie.
And I don't know. I don't know how you get as guttural of a reaction against it without doing what she did. Because if you write an article drawing attention to this,
it's not going to make as big of an impact.
If you share some clips from some current dance teams over in France, because apparently if she walked through a park and saw girls dancing like this,
it's happening.
This is a current issue in France. So this is where I'm saying,
Jeff,
if you make a documentary,
Jeff, this is a current issue here in the U.S.
Correct.
Okay, I have seen some of these dance routines. And in conservative Nebraska, and it is disturbing.
Well, and my assumption is then, therefore, it's 10 times worse in France.
Possibly.
If it's already an issue in Nebraska, what's going on in France is worse.
Possibly.
Is my assumption. Okay.
You could be right.
The point being, and again, that's an assumption.
It's okay.
The point being, even if you were to have, even if these dance competitions were already publicly put online, and so you shared some face blurred short clips to say, see, this dancing's going on in real life, none of that obviously gets because it's happening. These dance competitions exist, right?
Right.
So like none of that is getting the guttural reaction that this movie got.
I think,
however, that doesn't justify. I don't know how else you get this reaction. However, that doesn't justify what was done.
Yeah, no.
At some point, you just need to know something is bad without having to view it to know it's bad.
This movie may not be what some people on the right are calling pedophilia, but I can tell you that this movie is going to be used as pedo fodder.
Well,
because they are going to be seeking it out. There are creeps already looking through your Facebook feeds and downloading pictures of your children. They are, and that's disturbing.
And they're fully clothed, not doing anything sexual.
Exactly. So all of a sudden, you've got a movie out there in mainstream.
There's always going to be deviance that you can't, like, the only answer would be to never put a single picture of your child on the internet, which, I mean, actually maybe
not a bad idea.
People. May not be a bad idea. Okay. But for the people that are like, well, you can't determine what other people do with, I get it. Okay. I get that argument. Right. So like if you happen to put, photo of your kids playing in the pool with their little swim wings on. Okay. First of all, you should have a lot of your digital stuff secured, but if it's on the internet, it's on the internet. All right. You can't control what somebody else does with that picture. However, you can also not incentivize a lot of these things. And no matter what. So essentially, I think what we have here, though, is we had the immediate reaction and the way that look at the way that it was pitched. People like Netflix and IMDb thought that the right way to pitch this, obviously, despite her interviews and despite the director's intent, the marketing campaigns thought the right way to pitch this is a coming of age story exploring femininity. Right. When really, if you ask the producer, it sounds like she would say it's a coming of age tragedy that's remarking on the failure of the proper way to teach your kids to come of age, because there's these there's hypersexualization and hyper conservatism especially within the Muslim community, we would say hypocrisy with the multiple wives and the treatment of women and whatever. And that can be found in many religions where there's this hyper hypocrisy in some of these hyper conservatized environments. And so she's intending it as a tragedy and a rejection of all this, but it still got marketed in support of it. And so the left, so what it did expose a bunch of sickos on the left that were like, ooh, rah, yeah, it's finally someone came out for this. Oh, whoops, they might have just got their hand slapped because the director's not saying it's a good thing.
Right.
However, and then the right immediately reacted and said, see, she's saying it's a good thing. Well, no, she's not saying it's a good thing, but it's still kind of fine to be outraged at it, because even though the message may end up being a message those on the right would partially agree with, the creation, the media, what still is presented, the presentation is still wrong.
Yeah.
Would that be a better way to say it?
I agree. I agree 100%.
So here's your nuance. you can take a half of a breath, people on the right. It's not coming out and going, heck to the yeah, powerhouse pedophilia. No, it's not. It's actually condemning the hypersexualization of young girls.
Right.
However, it hypersexualizes young girls to do that. Therefore, it's a big swing and a miss. Also, people on the right, your outrage is definitely justified because how many people on the left came out in, heck yeah, a movie that empowers young girls.
That has been incredibly disturbing. The number of people I have seen on Twitter promoting and being like, "Yay, pedophilia,"
defending what the people on the right thought it was.
Exactly.
So it wasn't what anybody thought it was, but it exposed a whole lot of people for what they really are.
And look, I fully admit on Twitter when I saw the trailers and I saw the media about it. I piled on.
Correct, because it was marketed.
And it was marketed terrible.
That way. It was marketed that way. It was marketed as an empowering thing. I will argue that Netflix, IMDb is not really a marketing.
I think it was intentional. I think it was purely intentional.
It was marketed pro this. It was marketed pro the
and it was probably for the outrage. It was probably for the outrage.
Maybe it was for the outrage to draw more attention. All press is good press.
Look at media. Yeah. Look at just media.
I know. You go for the outrage.
You go for the outrage because it gets ratings, it gets clicks.
Also Donald Trump's MO.
Well,
so just go ahead and poke the bear on the right some more. He will intentionally say outlandish things for the media, according to previous people that have worked with him. And this is some where maybe you just think he's dumb and it's not 4D chess. But if you believe a little bit that it's 4D chess, then he's intentionally saying outlandish or potentially false things to get the media into a frenzy and on the topic that he wants because they weren't talking about the topic that he wanted. Believe it or not believe it, I don't know. I think it's a mixture of the man has no filter and some of it's intentional. The point being, I don't think you're wrong. Some of this could have been intentionally mismarketed for the outrage to create a bigger debate. Because you don't make a national outrage over the movie Cuties. Does Ben Shapiro watch it or talk about it?
No.
No.
Okay.
And I think that's the point.
What's trending on Netflix right now?
I don't know. Is it trending?
It's in the list of the trending.
Is it really?
That's how I found it to read the description. It's in the list of the trending ones. Now, it was probably going to trend either way. Okay.
Yeah, right. Exactly. New movies right now during the pandemic trend.
But you're correct. There was some outrage, I think, intentionally ginned up. But I think where we come down on this is, at least from the director's point of view, it was technically supposed to be a condemnation of some of these things. However, it recreates the exact things it's condemning in condemning them. And that's where we on the right would say, well, that's still wrong. Yeah. That's to do wrong in pointing out that other people are doing wrong is still wrong.
Right.
Yeah, right. The question is, do the ends justify the means? No, really not.
That would be the ends do not justify the means kind of situation.
And so all
we're trying to do here, I guess, we're not trying to tell you to not be outraged. We're trying to give you enough facts so that you can be outraged for the right reasons, because that's the problem. Everyone instantly just jumps into their left and right camps and is outraged. Yeah. And then
look, as I said, I was ticked, man. I was ticked. Look, as a dad of young kids, I was so mad.
And with reason.
And
I don't blame anybody that's canceling Netflix over this. I'm not a big fan of boycotts in general. You saw
Tulsi Gabbard came out against it, and she piled on. I was like, wow,
at some point
that's kind of big.
You gotta not give your money to people that promote certain things,
right?
And I honestly, I don't know. My wife and I looked at each other. She's like, we have most of The Office on DVD. We could get the rest of it. Because I mean, literally, there's nothing else in my recently watched, I think, on Netflix except that and Parks and Rec.
Parks and Rec is on Prime.
All the Jurassic Parks, all the classic Jurassic Parks are out there. We burned through those pretty quick. And I think a lot of the James Bonds are coming out.
Are on there.
But
which, by the way, let's talk about that when we get back.
Star Trek?
No, James Bond. James Bond.
No.
We got another movie coming out 2 months.
Whatever.
It's gonna make November exciting.
Top Gun coming out too.
But yeah,
I
look,
have a whole life for this, and then it got pushed off to December because of COVID.
Nuance. It's nuanced views, man. Nuanced views.
And not nuanced views, meaning. Oh, I think the other thing people hear when they hear a nuanced view is a wishy-washy middle ground where everybody's kind of right, but everybody's kind of wrong.
No.
That's not what nuance means. Nuance means what's the truth.
It's actually parse the facts.
And parse the facts and know what I'm standing on and what I'm talking about.
Wait. You mean not a knee-jerk reaction based on your feelings, but based on facts of what actually happened?
Correct.
Oh, whoops. Nope.
No, let's not go back to that.
But that's racist.
Well, and you know what? That was one of the articles that came out. Everyone hates the movie because they're racist against the little black girl playing in it. That's why the conservatives hate it. That's where they went. They went there immediately. It didn't have anything to do with the over-sexualization of children, just that she was black.
To me, it look like a leprechaun to me. All I gotta do is look up in the tree. Who else seen the leprechaun say yeah?
My theory is it's casting a shadow from the other limb.
Could be a crackhead that got hold to the wrong stuff. And it told me to get up in a tree and play a leprechaun.
This wars off spells right here. This is a special leprechaun flute, which has been passed down from thousands of years ago from my great-great-grandfather who was Irish. I just came to help out.
I want to run a backhoe and uproot that tree. I want to know where to go. I want to go. Give me the go. I want to go.
So again, I think we've done this before, but if we had to assign roles from the show to that intro, I'm the one poor reasonable guy just trying to say, look, maybe it's a shadow. I don't know. Mathis goes straight to the crackhead, getting hold of the wrong stuff.
That's what it's got to be, man.
Ozzy for sure is bringing the leprechaun.
Without a doubt.
And based on his hunt for his tax return, Tombstone is definitely the guy with the backhoe uprooting the tree, asking where's the gold at.
Which, by the way, Tombstone, if he's listening right now, did receive his tax return.
Well, so we know where the gold's at then. It's in his bank.
Tombstone has the gold. Woo's got the gold. Yeah. So, yeah, man, that actually sounds like a really fun community to hang out in. I was thinking about that as we were listening to it. I was like, they just seem so happy. Yes, they do. Yes.
I think there's a reason she instantly went to crackhead in that community.
I don't know what you're trying to say, Jeff.
I don't know what I was trying to say in the chat.
Oh, no.
You can look it up later.
Oh, man.
Was that the video you said?
Yes, no.
Goodness.
Guys, I don't know if
help us all.
I don't know if you're looking for new cereal or anything, but
I should rage against that the same way I should rage against Cuties.
The new cereal?
No.
Oh no, the video Osland sent.
Osland's wonderful cross-dressing Beauty and the Beast.
No. That sounds so much worse than it.
It's so much worse.
Okay.
What would you call that? It's true, but it's, there you go. But
it sounds horrible.
Truth.
It's worse.
It sounds
Osland
horrible.
was not the one singing or are participating.
Listen, I wasn't aware of any of that. I saw that on somebody's Facebook, and I was like, "What is this?" And then I watched it, and I thought it was hilarious. And then I sent it to you guys, and then I dug deeper. That was the mistake.
You were not aware that any of those. How much of the video did you watch before you were aware?
I don't know. I watched the whole. I watched the whole thing.
So those are all dudes. And drag. It was drag dude Beauty and the Beast.
I was aware of half of that. Not all of them were dudes. Not all of them
Belle was a girl.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe. Why are we talking about this on the show, guys?
Stop, Chef. 10 seconds into the
Why
fact
are we
that
talking
everyone else
about
was
this?
drag dudes. This is what
This is why we can't be a family show. After the last segment in this, I tell you guys, there's like mothers driving their kids to school going, "What? No, mommy, what is drag?"
Turn it down.
It's when you
No, Jeff. What was that, Jeff? You have now joined the part of the show where Jeff explains the word. No, we're not doing that. We're not doing that.
We're not doing that. It will be our last show. I won't have a job. You won't have a job.
Guys, I feel like we're in the middle of a break. Okay.
Let's go back. Let's just run it back. We should be in the middle of a break.
Oh no, that was funny. That was funny.
So
okay,
where are we going?
So little Debbie and Kellogg's have combined forces, guys. Do you remember the oatmeal cream pie?
Remember the oatmeal cream pie?
Do you remember the oatmeal cream pie machines in college? Like the massive, like the at the vending machine, the massive ones.
I was gonna say there were machines that just created oatmeal cream.
Wouldn't that be amazing?
I would have gained more weight in college.
4 years, and I didn't know that was a thing.
I mean, I think that's why
Nutty Buddies are probably. I probably like those over the.
Right, I remember you hit those Nutty Buddies pretty hard.
Oh man,
the honey ones I wasn't too big of a fan of, but man, those oatmeal cream pies.
Look, when you could swipe your ID card,
that was a bad thing.
Fatty snacks.
That was a very bad thing.
Oh,
look, it was brilliant of the university, but not
none of
very
us were prepared for credit cards.
Not very good. No.
Dave Ramsey didn't come up with that one.
So they are combining forces with Kellogg. Little Debbie is combining forces with Kellogg's to make a breakfast cereal.
With your powers combined.
That's right.
It will become
crossing the beams here. They are.
Is it though? Like that's a terrible analogy.
Is it though?
No,
because it exploded.
I mean.
Okay. Well, maybe this will.
But everything was covered in.
It is because we're never getting there. Drag. The definition of drag.
No. End the show.
It out.
End the show. Okay. So to celebrate the iconic snack brand's oatmeal cream pie treats turning 60 this year, Kellogg's is now turning it into a cereal, and the breakfast treat is going to be made with spiced oatmeal cookie cereal bits. Complete with cinnamon, nutmeg, and molasses to be mixed with milk. Will hit the grocery stores in December.
Are each of the cereal pieces themselves a mini oatmeal cream pie?
Yeah, right?
No, they are just the oatmeal cookie pieces, which kind of is depressing.
Are there then cream like marshmallows?
It says with a cream coating. It says with a cream coating, but I don't see a cream coating here.
I bet you it's like a light dusting, like a frosted flake.
A light dust.
Maybe. Oh, it might be. I don't like it.
I'm not looking at the picture.
Guys, this comes on the heels of a post, I believe, introducing a coffee flavored cereal.
Hello.
Yeah, mocha latte and a caramel macchiato.
I could get into that.
Really?
Yeah.
I like coffee, but I don't know if I could do the cereal.
I'll stick to my honey bunches of oats, guys.
Have you guys had coffee? No. Have you ever had coffee ice cream?
Yes, I don't mind it.
Yeah, I don't mind
it.
It's all right.
It's got to be right. It's got to be right.
But I got to go back. So it's a crispy cereal. It's
a crispy cereal. It's not a soft cereal.
It's not just mini.
It says crispy oatmeal puffs with a cream coating.
So in other words,
I'm looking at the picture here, and there's no cream.
Extremely disappointing because, like anything else, like Cookie Crisps that don't really taste.
Oh yeah, terribly disappointing.
Reese's Puffs aren't bad. Reese's Puffs are solid.
Cookie Crisp could not be real cookies. Otherwise, you'd be as big as a house.
Well, even just eating Cookie Crisp, you'd be as big as a house. Crisp. I just don't. I mean,
these cereals have so much
it's all sugar. It's all sugar anymore.
Oh my goodness!
We were walking down the cereal aisle just like yesterday, I think, and I'm looking at all these things, and I'm like, this is literally. It should be a dessert aisle, essentially. I mean, there's a Pop-Tart, cookies and cream Pop-Tart breakfast cereal that are like, they appear to be like little like crispy packets with like cookies and cream filling in them or something like that. Almost like a filled cereal thing.
Interesting.
Yeah. So it's just all dessert.
Let me tell you my analysis of this because it looks like something.
What does it look like?
Which thing? The oatmeal cream pie?
The oatmeal cream pie things look like something, and we'll get Jeff.
Look like,
we'll get Jeff to define.
No, I don't think I need to define this.
I mean,
if it's what you just said,
the more I look at it, the more questionable it looks.
This looks oddly questionable. If anybody has a cat, you're definitely going to look at this and know what I mean.
Oh my goodness!
Oh no! I need to see this.
No! Don't look!
Ooh!
He sees it.
Why?
No!
Make that like flat, like Cookie Crisp shape? Like why wouldn't they use the Cookie Crisp mold?
It looks like you're looking at the south end of a northbound cat. I mean,
Jeff can't stop looking.
I'm just going. I don't think I would have personally come up with that.
Dude.
Looking at the picture, I haven't spent that much time studying the back end of cats personally. But now that it has been
you can't stop seeing it.
No,
I can't unsee it.
Oh my goodness!
It's bad on certain little dogs too. My mother-in-law's little Pappy Chew. Let's just say we call it the Eye of Sauron.
Does the dog?
No.
Does it have a glaze?
No. Oh,
if
good
it
heavens.
does, it's not vanilla cream.
Or chocolate cream.
I mean, it says here in the description, crispy with a cream coating. Moving on. You okay there, Jeff?
So are we going to try this cereal on air? Because it's honestly at this point going to be like an episode of Fear Factor.
I think we should. In December, we will be trying on the air oatmeal cream pie cereal.
I'll be getting this for Christmas from you, Mattis.
You probably will. Guys, Kanye, after going on to another Twitter rampage the other day.
Wait, is he still running for president or no?
Look, dude, I think he's gone off the deep end. He started screaming the other day about how he's not on any big boards. And it's because he's black.
Any big
boards? Meaning
like boards of companies because he's black.
Or it could be because he wasted half his life as a drugged out rapper.
I mean, that's possible.
As like off his rocker.
So Kanye on Twitter the other day, September 9th, debuted his new TV. It's a 100-foot screen.
Wait, no, it's not.
Yes, it is.
100 foot across.
100 foot diagonally, just like every other TV's measured.
That's 100 foot.
100 feet.
100 feet.
100 feet from one corner to the other corner.
Do you ever wonder why we measure TVs?
Is this a projector?
No, that's not a projector. That is an LED wall.
Instead of the square.
I did actually always wonder that. Why do we do that?
Why do we do what?
That is forever frustrating. Why do they measure TVs from corner to corner instead of?
Who knows? It got really confusing when TVs went to the different standard. The 4x3 or the 16x9.
Yeah.
Got very confusing when it went from no longer being square.
That's ridiculous.
That is a huge TV.
So he's watching the NBA playoffs, right?
And he is smaller than the guys.
And he is smaller than he is smaller, probably like twice. Yeah, they're probably twice his size, I would say.
Oh, I'd say maybe they're just a little bit bigger.
I'm not getting any. Where did you find his? Is it in Trello?
Yeah, of course it is.
Here, I'll post them.
Yeah, I mean, dude, it's crazy. Like
that's huge. Where does he have this?
I don't know. I was wondering the same thing.
Looks like an empty warehouse.
Probably.
Because it's got like a cement floor.
Because where else would you watch basketball other than an empty warehouse?
Where else would you put it?
It is just a wall. Yeah. I mean,
yeah, it's an LED wall. And the question I have is,
why would you do that?
Why would you do that?
I mean,
okay, look, it's cool.
Unless you're making like a home theater system, like Room, like, dude, that would be awesome.
But that's for like that, dude. That's 100 feet. My house is 36 foot long.
Yeah,
it's not a trailer. Just to clarify on that one. Like the length of my house down the side is 36 foot. No, it's not.
Really long, double wide trailer.
Double wides are still considered trailers.
I'm not in a double. You idiots. Anyways,
prefabs are only one step above a trailer.
No, sorry, my house isn't a prefab. Why am I defending myself to you two idiots? Yeah, I don't know. 100-foot TV screen. That's just crazy.
I mean, your house isn't finished yet, is it? Isn't that still considered a prefab?
I mean, no. I have some trim to put in, but that's about it.
An underfab.
Oh, there you go. There you go. I don't know. No.
Let us know what your cereal looks like in the comments below.
No.
Call the message line.
Elon Musk, just this week, we averted to the story earlier in the show. He plans to send humans to Mars in 2024.
Ooh.
That is his timeline.
How long is that going to take them to get
there? He says they're going to carry 100 passengers per flight. They're going to build a fleet of 1,000 rockets over 10 years.
1,000 rockets?
That's what he says, 1,000 rockets.
Holy moly.
And he plans to send 3 flights per day to Mars. It would take roughly 9 years to transport 1 million people.
What?
That's his plan.
Why would you do that? Why would you go to Mars?
Why not?
You don't like Earth, so you went somewhere else. According to your theory,
it's true. It's true.
Gotcha.
I mean, if we're gonna follow Ozzy's theory to the peak, yeah. So, yeah, that's crazy.
Is there a Martian national anthem?
So my question, there will be when he gets there. He says, not for the faint of heart. There's a good chance you'll die, and it's going to be tough going, but it's going to be pretty glorious if it works out.
So it's like the coronavirus.
Get your tickets to Mars here. You're probably going to die. Might be fun.
Dude, that, like, at least he's being, look, okay, this is the thing I hand to Musk. Musk is not glossing it over.
Right.
He's like, he says, we've got to build the city and get to the point where it's self-sustaining. I want to emphasize this is a very hard and dangerous thing, or very hard, dangerous, and difficult thing. Not for the faint of heart. There's a good chance you'll die, and it's going to be tough going, but it's going to be pretty glorious if it works out.
I think all of that can be said, minus that there's a good chance you'll die. Like, it's the same pitch.
No.
It's the same pitch that was given to explorers for years. Like, let's go find the new world. You want an adventure. You know, it might be tough. Find out that you're a man, whatever. They probably left off that there's a good chance you're going to die and eaten by cannibals, and then
I don't know, man. I'm kind of a fan of this. I'm kind of a fan of him being so bold about it.
It's fine. I don't necessarily have a problem with it. I just think it's a funny way to pitch your new Move to Mars project.
I think he's just being brutally honest.
Let's die together.
I think he's being brutally honest.
Did you guys ever watch the TV series Mars?
No.
You should check it out. It was on Netflix.
There's a new one on Netflix that with Hilary Swank. Is that the one?
It's
where the mom goes to Mars. Oh no!
It's a docuseries.
No, okay. So this is a TV show where the mom goes to Mars.
It's called Lost in Space.
She's an astronaut and she goes to Mars. I don't know what movie it's called or video it's called.
The Martian.
But anyways, if you're not canceling Netflix, you could watch it on Netflix.
Yeah,
I watched The Martian.
It's a National Geographic documentary, but anyway, it actually explores the concept of us actually going to Mars,
which is terrifying.
And it's like, okay, well, it takes place, I want to say it's like in 2060 or something like that. Anyway, but it's about these people that go to Mars and how hard it's going to be and how they're trying to set up this thing, and then it flashes back to like, to interviews that they do like with Elon Musk and with a bunch of other actual scientists from today, talking about here's what we would probably have to do if we wanted to go to Mars. We'd have to encounter this, yada, yada, and all that stuff. And then they make it into, okay, well, this is the reality and we've done this.
Well, the first thing we need to do is nuke the poles of Mars in order to, that was another Elon Musk idea, if you guys remember correctly.
Listen, he may not have given up on that. He might have just shut his mouth.
Yeah. Look, you think a billionaire doesn't have pocket nukes?
I'm just saying.
How are you going to
confirm nor deny?
How are you going to power everything on Mars if you don't have nukes, like nuclear power?
Sunlight.
Too dim. It's not going to provide enough power. The Earth gets a lot.
I'm pretty sure that's what most reviews of this podcast are.
Too dim. Pretty dim.
Too dim.
Pretty dim.
Too dim.
Yeah,
Too dim.
You're talking about. Why are you comparing it to the same type of technology that we have?
Mars is farther away from Earth, therefore the sunlight power is less.
Right. Therefore, technology never evolves to become more efficient.
Oh, no.
And potentially...
I'm saying in the next 2 years.
Is that actually true?
Yeah, I believe
passing through the nothingness of space, and if the atmosphere is different, is it actually less, or could it potentially be more
the farther you get away from it?
So, Aaron, why do they use solar power for the rovers?
I have
because it uses very limited power. So the question is, can they limit the power enough to the infrastructure on Mars to be low enough? Like, I don't know. Okay.
I would assume that they're going to be spending billions of dollars on the technology, so it's not going to be comparable to solar panels.
The maximum solar irradiance on Mars is about 590 watts per meter squared, compared to about 1,000 watts per meter squared at the Earth's surface.
Says who? Scientists. They don't know anything.
Ever been there?
I realize y'all like to hate on scientists.
I couldn't resist.
No, I know you couldn't. But yeah, so it's approximately half.
I wonder if they're going to send them with the cat butt cereal. I mean, the
we need to leave. Guys, if you want to listen to the show, www.thefrontporchshow.com. You can listen to us on Spotify, iTunes, iHeartRadio, anywhere where you like to hear your online content. We are there, including YouTube. We'll catch you next time
for one more week
until we get kicked off.
I mean, it's pretty lightweight.
For the people watching, they know there's nothing lightweight about this show.
It's true. Down to a 42, eh? They're 32 fan size, 28 fan size. 32? That's good for you. Lightweight.